Like I said, I want to come back again to the idea of Donald Trump as sort of a hero of antiquity. Well. But before we do, I want to take a digression to the other story that's been heating up the interwebs, and I'm referring to David Brooks, because he's been on a roll recently, and he
also very similar to Seagal.
How so?
Oh, how so?
Jewish man with an identity crisis. I'm not wrong.
This is a little motherfucking thing we call Soprasetta.
Okay, this is another. I don't know this for sure, but I'd be willing to bet money that Steven Seagal has made a woman he's dated change her name.
Yeah.
First and last.
You're Yuriko now.
Yeah.
This is my wife, Salamoon.
Harley Quinn, get in here.
But yeah, no. David.
David's back on his bullshit.
David's back on his bullshit.
Pussy overrated, yeah. He's like Future.
And no, he was on this thing that everyone was tweeting about yesterday about he wrote it. He's been okay. Just like a week ago, he had an amazingly good op-ed piece about people canceling plans is a sign of Western decline, and it was just again like revealing that everyone's just like, yeah, David, sorry to flake on lunch again, but I gotta rewind some videotapes, and no one wants to hang out with David Brooks, and he wrote a whole column about it.
The willingness to do that and at no point acknowledge the absurdity of it and the obvious implication that you're just talking about the fact that nobody wants to hang out with you.
He would never consider the possibility that anyone
but it's
would
just
cancel.
it's such a Olympian delusion that it's breathtaking.
It's
almost like
the man has a gift.
It's like one of those things where you have to have that in order to be an effective op-ed columnist, especially for something like
so
this.
there's a new
You have to like have self-awareness drilled out of your head with a fucking like a power drill.
Yeah, you have to be deprogrammed.
Yeah.
There's a new trend with women where they're afraid to have sex with cool men because they're afraid they'll fall in love with them. They do it once.
But yeah, so the thing that he wrote another column this week that was, I guess, about.
Go ahead now, David.
Yeah, the idea was about that again, it's this sort of Charles Murray thesis that like the real inequality in American life is that cognitive, educated elites are sequestering themselves in neighborhoods and food trucks and podcasts and the sort of non-high school educated, blue collar, working class folks don't get the benefits of their thrifty cosmopolitan life choices.
Parenthetically, just as like a right off the bat explainer, that entire thesis, and that is the Brooks thesis, and it's the Murray thesis, and it's a lot of these guys' belief, and it boils down to the fact that because deindustrialization started in black communities in the 60s and 70s before hitting white communities in the 90s and aughts, is that the pathologies that were associated with black culture, like with black people, have somehow migrated to white people in these same communities that have seen deindustrialization later, and they need an explanation for that, and they have decided essentially that blackness is contagious, and it can only be corralled by inoculating
it's a pathology
white people,
and it's catching.
and it can be inoculated for white people by exposing them to Netflix and PBS and
It's also the class mobility fantasy they have.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes,
David
too.
Brooks
Yeah,
thinks
big time.
My Fair Lady is a porno.
yeah.
Well, yeah, he's living it. Why can't my research assistant learn how to fuck?
Yes.
Ouch. No, so let me just read the actual paragraph that everyone was making fun of and laughing at. So he's goes on blah 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 about like how rich dad, poor dad, rich high school, bad high school bullshit, and then he goes, recently I took a friend with only a high school degree to lunch. Now,
Bullshit.
Pause there.
Bullshit.
Hold on.
No way.
Okay,
Pause
obviously
there.
this didn't happen,
Yes.
but I was trying to think of what he took and made into this story, and you think it was just someone canceling on him.
No, I think that he was at like this restaurant. By the way, Matt Iglesias, treat boy extraordinaire, did some like shoe leather reporting and found what he thought was
here's a
the
sandwich
restaurant
place.
in DC. It's a sandwich place. It's in the middle of the city. It's got like words like Pomodoro and Soprasetta on there. And so he's like, and you know what? I think he's right. But I think obviously what happened is that he was either flaked on, or he went by himself to eat lunch, looked at the menu and had the brilliant insight, you know what? I bet if I was just a high school educated middle American, I'd be very intimidated by this.
Let me
And
read.
then
No, wait, I'm sorry.
invented an interaction. Just like Thomas Friedman's cab drivers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
most.
I think the obvious thing is that he was actually taking his maid out for her 3-month review.
yeah.
I mean, that's literally the only thing I can imagine him having a friend who.
Yeah, he
didn't
has no
graduate from
interaction with
college.
people who only went to high school.
I mean, like most New York Times opinion writing is just fiction writing. It's your fictional only high school graduation certificate friend, your cab driver who told you about how Doha is going to be about Amazon Prime this year. Your son who's like, Dad, no one's having sex anymore. It's just a bunch of interactions that you imagine that create
It's the fantasy woke child.
right. It's just the interactions
and
that you imagine
People are just
that
fantasizing.
back up your narrative of the world.
Yeah.
And it's never something cool like, I met someone who does the knockout game. It's just, and I approve of it. It's always just some bullshit.
Well, the thing is that they are forced. They have to have a take every week, and the thing is that one of those tricks they teach you in opinion writing is give it an actual hook, like give it real characters, and not just ideas. And so you're not fucking having these interactions that often, but you do have to like belabor a point with a fake anecdote.
Well, let me get to the actual anecdote in case you aren't familiar with it. David Brooks takes his friend with only a high school degree to lunch, and insensitively, I led her into a gourmet sandwich shop. Suddenly, I saw her face freeze up as she was confronted with sandwiches named Padrino and Pomodoro and ingredients like sopressata, capicola.
Is she Bill the Butcher?
And Gabagool baguette. No, so it's just a sandwich shop, and he goes, I quickly asked her if she wanted to go somewhere else, and she anxiously nodded yes, and we ate Mexican. Okay, before we tee off on this.
Yeah, Mexico is
before we
also
tee
a different
off-
country.
Listen, you wicked Jew, the next time you take me to an establishment that serves me papist hams, think again. I'll take a boiled ham just like Mother used to make.
My best friend, Bill the Butcher.
One thing that needs to be, we've already established this, but just, in case anyone was confused, this anecdote did not happen.
0%.
David,
No.
and I can
No.
feel comfortable saying that because David Brooks has a long history of doing exactly this, especially around eateries and food experiences. Like I believe in one of his books, he went to some, like the Charles Murray Fish Town, the real America town, and then says, you could spend all day trying to spend $20 on dinner and you couldn't do it. And then a journalist went to the town he actually mentions and like finds that there goes to a Red Lobster within 5 minutes of getting there and says, you can easily spend over $20 on dinner. Called David Brooks about this, and then David Brooks accused him of being unethical or something like that. There was the famous Applebee's salad bar
Awesome.
thing. Again, he said the folks at the Applebee's salad bar, there are no such thing at Applebee's. So it's not a stretch to think that David has made this up one more time, but he's making it up in service of something that's been a long-running shtick for him, which is this idea, the sort of conservative sort of yuppie idea about class that he's trying to transmit to his mostly upper and upper middle class liberal New York Times readers, which is that class is really about cultural capital, and it's about these sort of like tastes and affectations rather than money and your class relationship to capital. And I want to just pick out one thing that someone capped from Thomas Frank, who was writing about this same thing that David Brooks did back in 2004. And Thomas Frank writes here, David Brooks goes even further, concluding from his fieldwork in Red America that the standard notion of class is flawed. Thinking about class in terms of hierarchy, where some people occupy a more exalted position than others, he writes, is Marxist and presumably illegitimate. The correct model, he suggests, is a high school cafeteria. Again, food. Segmented into self-chosen taste clusters like nerds, jocks, punks, bikers, techies, druggies, god squatters, and so on. Frank quotes Brooks, writing, the jocks knew there would always be nerds, and the nerds knew there would always be jocks. That's just the way life is. We choose where we want to sit and whom we want to mimic and what class we belong to.
It's the
same
$20
way
Breakfast Club.
We choose hairstyles and TV shows. We're all free agents in this non-coercive class system.
Oh my God, that's infuriating.
And Brooks eventually concludes that worrying about the problems faced by workers is yet another diluted affectation of the blue state rich.
I mean, Brooks is exactly like every fucking chud who screams about Muslim rape
Yeah, but he's a
gangs and
chud
shit.
that does interviews. He's
Right.
Chud Turkle.
Right, so he's right. He's like every fucking chud that screams about Muslim rape gangs and the Apex gang if they're Australian, who is in charge of like a few blue collar guys, makes about $120,000 a year, but thinks they're blue collar because they listen to like Chud Truckley or Chase Whitney,
Yep.
or,
but that's been a long-
or Whitney Poole or
That's
whoever
been
the
their
fuck.
fucking strategy for 30 years. They've been detaching class from economics and replacing it with culture because they can win on that terrain.
It's amazing though because everyone knows with just like the slightest bit of thought that this is utterly untrue.
Well, yeah.
I taught at NYU and I would talk to people who were the children of Russian oligarchs or like their family owned 3 factories in Shenzhen. They had major like cultural competency difficulties coming into the U.S. for the first time. I mean, it's extremely difficult coming from one of
Yeah.
those countries and trying to navigate America. But you know what? They're gonna be just fine.
They got that money. Well, that's because what these guys always do, and when they talk about things like cultural capital or education or getting married, they take things that are symptomatic of having wealth and economic security and turn them into causes. They reverse causality.
Yeah.
They say, oh, they are able to maintain relationships because they're or being able to maintain relationships is why they have money. Or having certain cultural touchstones and being able to converse at a certain level is why they have money. No, it's the other way around. Obviously, it's the other way around. You have
don't
little
wanna
money.
believe
You
that
can't
money
have the stability to
causes
stay
anything.
married, right?
Because that would be to alter, that would be to make them complicit in a
what's so
world that is
insane is that,
fundamentally
like,
unfair.
I could explain in one sentence how poverty causes less marriage. One sentence, and I just did it. You're not stable enough economically. You can't maintain these relationships. The pressures are too great. Done. I finished it. They've attempted it. They have billions of dollars behind it as a propaganda campaign, but nobody could explain to you how getting married keeps you from being poor if you were poor.
Matt,
they could never fucking
what they
explain
say,
that.
what they explain is that they they rattle off a bunch of statistics about positive life outcomes for people who get married and get married after finishing college.
Right.
Not the results of marriage,
Yeah.
but
Not the
it's a
result.
positive life outcome.
Okay, now, it's been a sort of hobby horse of ours on the show that whenever you see someone either saying or implying that politics is downstream from culture, you can be guaranteed that they're grifting you or they're full of shit or they're just a right winger in some way. It's
but
always
can I just
the
say I'm
economy.
still really proud of Chud Turkle.
That was very good.
Someone else who also believes very highly in social capital and who weighed in quite heavily in a lengthy thread on David Brooks is, of course, our other friend, someone who I like even more than David Brooks, Megan McArdle, who's back again.
The walking galactic brain.
Yeah.
Megan McArdle.
Yeah,
And-
the Galactic Brain League is Megan McGriddle, Macron, and I gotta say Malcolm Gladwell.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Who's that fucking guy with the perfectly round head in England? Rupert Owens.
Oh, is that the baby one that's
the baby.
a racist?
He's the boss baby. Yeah.
Oh God, he's terrifying.
He's British.
And his name is Rupert. That's a teddy bear's
It's
name.
Yeah.
amazing. And he's got a little bow tie. He's the British exploding.
I
guy.
love how the sort of David Brookses of England. David Brooks, it could be like a cool tough guy's name, but in England, there's no mistakes like that. Every David Brooks guy is named like Jeremiah Buttersworth,
Principal Wigwam Chudsley.
Eaton Syrupsley.
So Megan went off on a long thread defending Brooks and asking how many of you have taken a genuinely working class person to lunch.
Guess what? Not David Brooks, and not you either, Megan.
Yeah. So she goes on and off, and
Also, take them to lunch. That's the wording that makes me think it was his maid.
Yeah.
Right.
You don't take a friend to lunch.
So-
you go to
You
lunch
meet
with a
them
friend.
for-
Yeah.
I noticed this in the replies of the people talking to Megan, and I just want to. It was one interaction I want to cap here. This guy Rev Kev Geo replies to Megan and says, "As a pastor, I eat with working class and homeless members regularly, and it's those relationships that made me so angry to read Brooks's piece." He continues. No one comes to me saying, help me fit in with the upper middle class. They come saying, I need money, food, housing, childcare. Megan's response to this, I think his point is that social capital matters for the mobility to get the stuff you need.
Oh my God, no.
Yeah.
This is Mean Girls. This is Mean Girls.
Yeah.
This is where Regina George rules ruthlessly, and the unpopular kids hate her. And then Gretchen Wiener says, well, I can't help it if people are jealous of me.
Yeah.
And they're just like, oh, you want to be me? It's like, no. We hate you.
Yeah. We just like to be able to fucking survive.
We
without
just
being
want
in
your
fear at all
stuff.
times.
We want your stuff.
And the way to prove conclusively that claims like McArdle's here, that social capital is more important, is easily and perfectly disproved as similar claims that it's about education or getting married or anything. It's like, if you apply that, imagine you could snap your fingers and your wish for this community was granted. They all of a sudden have all the cultural capital and ability to negotiate amongst money that you do. They all are married to the person who had their kid. They all have education.
They're all listening to NPR.
They're all doing those things. If every one of them did them, you would still see tons of them poor because those spots are limited. And if everybody had it, I mean, these people claim to love economics 101, but have you ever heard about fucking inflation? If everybody could code, it would not be worth anything on the market. If everybody has bourgeois social cues, the bourgeois social cues are not a value added anymore.
Yep.
So none of these things, if universally applied, would solve anything.
Yeah, I mean, also, I think the unstated thing here is how cool McMagan and David Brooks and all these people think upper middle class culture is. I grew up upper middle class. It's like the culture is fucking awful. All you do is just eat like dry pieces of bread that you smear like various moldy cheeses on and talk about
That's always what I thought it was.
And talk about the fucking wait list at Brown and like a new play. Like everyone doesn't just go to plays every year to see if they're still bad. It's trash. No one should want it.
This is wait.
Just one quickly. Another thing that undermines it and completely destroys it is, okay, fine. Even if you think it's a noble pursuit, what is your strategy for actually doing this? Does David Brooks want to go into like a dirty pool hall and set up a shingle that says, ask me about sailing terms? Yeah. And then he gets a fucking pool cue broken over his head?
That's the new Roadhouse.
He wants to be Henry Higgins.
Patrick Swayze, back from the dead, escorts David Brooks through various rough and tumble bars.
Yes, and then he teaches them bourgeois values of thrift and diligence.
Yeah, he's like, pain don't hurt, and class isn't about money.
Oh my God, shit, that's gonna happen now.
Yeah. That's really.
Patrick Swayze's coming back. I brought him back to life, everybody.
All right, so let's turn to our reading series for this week, where we are visiting once again with New York Times op-ed columnist David Brooks. David Brooks, a returning champ, a returning favorite, coming back this week with, I think, one of the most obnoxious things he's written in a while, called What's Wrong with Radicalism? David Brooks is going to diagnose the problems with radicalism.
I did not read this, so...
Oh, none of us have. We're
so
all waiting
you guys are fresh.
To have it.
You're about to be despoiled by Mr. Brooks here.
Shoot up and dropped into our mouths.
Like that.
Sorry.
Ew.
No, the term is deflowered.
Okay, here we go. There was a striking moment in the focus group that consultant Frank Luntz recently held with a group of Roy Moore supporters in Alabama. One of the voters said that the women who are accusing Moore of harassment are being paid to do so. Luntz asked the group how many people thought the women are being paid. A bunch of hands shot up and voices called out that all of the women are being paid. That moment captures the radicalism of the current moment. The loss of faith in institutions, the tendency to see corrupt conspiracies, the desire for total change, the belief that sometimes you've got to hire the biggest jerk available to get that change, and you've got to be willing to ignore facts to justify it. So David Brooks is saying, like, these women in Alabama who are like, I don't believe them, they're being paid. They're a product of our current moment right now and not the very same people that have existed for, decades there.
That's only true in like a trivial sense,
Oh, well, also the idea that refusing to believe bad things about someone you like is a symptom of radicalism, as opposed to sort of just the instinctive clannishness that is created by like political opposition and things.
Well, friendship is the most radical idea of all.
So he says, that attitude is evident on the pro-Trump right, but also on the left.
Yes,
What?
absolutely
Would
true.
it surprise you that there's like a totally equivalent thing going on right now on the left?
It's both sides are doing it.
There's like a shape. Has something to do with a horse, and never mind. Moving on.
I believe that Bernie was paid to write that article in the 70s about rape fantasies. So he got the woke activists, the angry Sanders socialists, and social justice warriors are just as certain that
Not the same people.
No, David, have you been reading Twitter?
His new bride has made him tweet more often and be on Snapchat. Actually,
I can't wait till she introduces him to Tumblr. That's going to be an amazing column.
I
can't wait till David Brooks' first column, just from reading Twitter, from his millennial wife's Twitter feed, where he's just like, we need to talk about anti-black NBMOC.
Well, I saw David Brooks was on Meet the Press over the weekend, and he said, quote, the Republican Party is repulsive to millennials right now. And I just think it's great that he's more in tune with the millennial culture after marrying one.
Yeah. I can't wait for his article about otherkin when he finds out about those.
So he says, these people, the SJ dubs are just as certain that the system is rigged, that rulers are corrupt, and that the temple has to be torn down.
Where would they get this idea that the system is rigged? I mean, it's not like they watched the global economic meltdown.
It's not like David Brooks
and then the entire government conspired in open session to fucking
One thing we
save
do know
the wealthiest among us.
is that David Brooks is being paid.
Yeah. Being paid like a lot of
He's
money.
being paid.
I think he sold his last house for like 4.6 mil or something like that. He's got a lot of he's caked up. His money real good right now. So he goes, the moderate left is being decimated across Europe, and that will probably happen here. Woo!
Ooh, inshallah.
Inshallah. We're living in an age of radicalism. But today's radicalism is unusual. First, we have radical anger without radical policies. This is just like the product of the people David Brooks talks to and is around in that kind of like DC world, where he's like, he thinks like Vox is like radical left, like, so he goes, stylistically and culturally, Trumpian populism screams blow it up and drain the swamp, but Donald Trump's actual policies are run-of-the-mill corporatist. The left-wing radicals talk a lot about the systems of oppression and institutionalized injustice, but they are nothing like the radicals of the 30s or 60s. Presumably, if they were, David would approve.
Yeah, he'd think they were awesome.
Wait, that's a dodge. Why he's saying that the left doesn't have policies? But
He has one. I remember this. He has one thing that he points to as a policy that shows that they're not actually radical.
He goes, today's radicals do not want to upend the meritocracy, which is creating a caste system of inherited inequality. They don't want to stop technical innovation, which is displacing millions of workers.
I want to.
Well, what is he talking about?
They don't
Yes, they do.
have plans to reverse individualism, which atomizes society and destroys community. A $15 minimum wage may be left-wing, but it's not Marxism.
It's not even
Leninism.
left wing. What are you fucking
Marxist-Leninism.
talking about? That's the only fucking example he has is the $15 minimum wage in terms of left wing policy proposals.
I mean, I'd agree that a $15 minimum wage isn't very
Right.
left-wing, but like people are organizing around it, and it is considered too left-wing for people like David Brooks to embrace. So for him, it's like that's what the radicalism of today is.
Well, David Brooks is. Why do you need $15 an hour? They're already getting tipped a shiny quarter from David Brooks if the barista smiles at him.
He says,
this is a classic example of just totally being disingenuous because yes, well, first of all, he is willingly ignoring the fact that there are all of these emerging currents that are proposing radical changes, public ownership, things like that, and he doesn't want to talk about that. So instead, so that he can dismiss it, he does a straw man of, they just want $15 minimum wage. But if he acknowledged the truth, he would not like that either. If they were actually proposing radical economic change, or if he acknowledged that they were, he would condemn them on those merits as well.
Right. I also think like you have to be obtuse at this point to ignore like Bernie's healthcare bill. Like that's intentional. Like removing a necessary that's never been more popular, not since like the 30s, but removing a necessary service from the marketplace. That's an intentional. Like he went with wages for a reason.
Yeah.
Second, today's radicalism is more about identity than social problems. Both the Trumpian populists and the social justice warriors are more intent on denouncing the problem they hate than on addressing the concrete problems before them. Consider the angry commentary you hear during a given day. How much of it is addressing a problem we face, and how much of it is denouncing people we dislike?
This is literally, he went on Twitter. He just fucking went on Twitter, and it's like, oh, I've got everything figured out now. These guys are all radical in an insufficient way, and let me denounce them.
I wish his girlfriend or his wife was following someone like Lil Pump or something, so he could just be like, all the young people talk about now is they want to fuck iCarly. They need lean and Zans. What about responsibility?
It must have been Christmas for all these old ass, out of touch, shitty columnists like Brooks when they learned that term, social justice warriors, and figured out, oh, I can just call everything I don't like this. Anyone who criticizes me that's wonderful.
Third, today's radicalism assumes that war is the inherent state of things. The key influence here is Saul Alinsky.
Ah, hell yeah.
He's pulling
that
out
motherfucker.
Yes.
Oh,
He's
I'm
pulling out
still so mad about him.
But is he saying war metaphorically? Because we're literally perpetually at a literal war.
Yes.
Saul Alinsky was a SJW. He was a sandwich sandwich justice warrior.
He was a sandwich Jew wheedler.
Yeah, he was,
What? No, I'm not paying for this corned beef.
Well,
what are you talking about?
Ember's exactly right, because war is the inherent is inherent to the state of things in America, because we've been at war since
at a literal
2000.
one.
We've been literally at war since 2001, and that doesn't seem to be ending anytime soon. Second, this was all supported in the pages of the New York Times by David Brooks.
Yes.
So he goes, yeah, but no, it's Saul Alinsky, and he says, has always been popular on the left. Wrong.
Not really. Not at all.
And has recently...
there's a big
it has
backlash.
be-
Nobody
Alinsky
fucking
right
heard
now.
about him until Teacot nutcases lost their shit about him in 2008.
Well, I did.
Well, of course.
But I was in a socialist organization. But yeah, I mean, there's also among the socialist left a big backlash to his tactics because they have not worked very well.
yeah, I mean, delis don't have that ticket system anymore.
I think
They don't give you extra coleslaw for free now.
I think what's going on in this article is like we see, we talk a lot about the bubble that these people live in, and I think like what we're seeing here is like David Brooks is reacting to like the limits of what he sees as like left wing policy or politics in this country, which is like about 20 to 50 degrees to the right of anything that would even conceivably be considered left, because he is such a cloistered buffoon. And like maybe his new wife is like tweeting about Fight for 15, and he's like, this is interesting, but is it radical? I don't know. It's seeking to upend the rules and the way things done. But so he goes, it is inevitably a battle between the people and the elites, the haves and the have-nots, or as his heirs would add, between whites and blacks, the Republicans and the Democrats, Islam and the West. If you're not willing to treat life as an endless war, you're a cuck.
That's literally true, though.
Fourth, there is the low view of human nature. Today's radicals conduct themselves on the presumption that since life is a battle, moral decency is mostly a hypocritical fraud. To get anything done, the radical has to commit evil acts for good causes. The ethics.
What evil acts is he talking about? Calling him a bald turtle ass bitch on Twitter?
Yeah.
It's evil.
So he goes, and then he quotes a bunch of Alinsky, who says ethics are determined by one is losing or winning.
But also ethics and morals are different.
Right.
So that's an arbitrary use of quote.
So he goes, what can we conclude about the radicals? Well, they are wrong that our institutions are fundamentally corrupt. Most of our actual social and economic problems are the bad byproducts of fundamentally good trends. Technological innovation has created wonders, but displaced millions of workers. The meritocracy has unleashed talent, but widened inequality. I don't see the trade-off of any of these things.
Is this like a defensive externalities?
Yeah, something like that. Immigration has made America more dynamic, but has weakened national cohesion. Like he's describing like the
cohesion.
downside to all these things, but the good things are just these weird buzzwords. Like it's
No, the good things are he was able to sell his house for $4.5 million.
it's unleashed talent. He says, what's needed is a reform of our core institutions to address the bad byproducts, not fundamental dismantling. That sort of renewal means doing the opposite of everything the left-right radicals do. It means believing that life can be more like conversation than a war if you open by starting a conversation.
Really, you're going to start a conversation with your boss where you're going to say, hey, boss, I'd like to have a conversation with you about the fact that, I've been working here for so long and I haven't gotten a fucking pay raise and you make me do unpaid fucking overtime. You know how the end of that conversation is? It ends with you're fired. That's the end of your fucking conversation that you had with your boss to such fucking great.
Yeah, and then the externality, that's the externality of the conversation. But the other externality of it could be that you start your own company. Or you marry David Brooks.
It's an opportunity.
Yeah, you lose one job, you get as a research assistant on a New York Times columnist book, and then you're whisked off into a magical world of Italian sandwiches.
I would love to do 50 Shades of Grey with David Brooks, but it's just like the big sexual, his big sexual perversion it's leading up to is like he just keeps the closet light on once during sex. In Missionary.
Remember the thing
50
about-
Shades of Grey with the A.
Yeah.
Whenever we've talked about David Brooks, whether it's like the taking his housekeeper to the sandwich shop and having her be bewildered by it, or his classic column about like we're living in the golden age of people like begging out of social engagements and lunch with friends and whatnot. All his columns are really he's talking about himself and his personal life. So I want to read this paragraph again in light of that. He says, it means believing that life can be more like a conversation than a war if you open by starting a conversation. I think he's addressing his ex-wife and a lawyer in that sentence. And he goes, it means collectively focusing on problems and not divisively destroying people.
Yeah.
Again, read into that what you will. It means believing that love is a genuine force in human affairs and that you can be effective by appealing to the better angels of human nature. Love was certainly a genuine force in his life.
Yeah.
There's a letter you write when you cheated on your wife.
This
Yep.
is absolutely what this is.
Yep.
Oh man, do you think he read Kevin Hart's apology? It's like,
Look, the GDP wants what the GDP wants.
Are you down with GDP? Yeah, you know me.
Today's radicalism is fundamentally spiritual, even it's played out in the political sphere. It's driven by the radicals' need for more secure identity, to gain respect and dignity.
Or, not die in a fucking gutter, maybe.
Or to just have health insurance,
Yeah.
or not need to fucking work some job you hate to barely get by, to give life a sense of purpose and meaning. I guess, like in his idea, like
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, because he has no material wants in his life. He has a frictionless existence, and so he has ennui. And so for him, the paramount question is spiritual. It's always a spiritual thing because that's the only problems in his life. And so he assumes that that's true for everyone. Everyone is sitting on their back deck, staring wistfully at their fucking barbecue, wondering what it all means.
He just
as
feels-
opposed to staring at a bunch of bills and wondering how they're going to fucking stay in their house for the rest of the month.
But like, if everyone could take his class at Princeton on humility, they could have this sense of purpose and civility and love in their life.
You know what? Give them your money, and they'll be able to do that.
Last
David.
paragraph. The radicals are looking for meaning and purpose in the wrong way, which is being mean to him, I guess.
Yes.
And in the wrong.
Wedging me is not going to make you feel better.
They're looking for in the wrong way and in the wrong place. And they're destroying our political world in the process. Again, reading in there, it means it's destroying my ability to be taken seriously and like have people genuflect over what an interesting mind and like turn a phrase I'm able to fart out every week.
I would love it if we were actually destroying the political world we live in, because the political world we live in is terrible. What is most disturbing about like his Chicken Little act is that actually we're kind of spinning our wheels right now, and we're not destroying anything.
Nothing's being destroyed.
we're trending to another, Democratic presidency, another Democratic legislative majority. We're going to replay this thing back. We're going to get, Barron Trump in 2024. Nothing's being destroyed. We're getting this
Well, no,
shit.
you know what's being destroyed? His Menschies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which didn't used to happen because Twitter didn't exist. And
Yeah.
that was a better time where people
But even
had
that-
respect for our institutions.
Even that's getting worse. They're making it easier to ban people. So, like, really, we should be writing this column about how they're taking away our ability to tell people that we're going to kill them satirically.
So, here's his last sentence. He says, "But you got to give them one thing. They are way ahead of the rest of us. They are organized, self-confident, aggressive, and driving history. The rest of us are dispersed, confused, and in retreat." So that's how he closes his column. Is he really thinks that like the political class of people that he speaks for and represents are like cowering and in defeat? No, they're not.
These are the guys
These
who
beloved
took-
They're doing
institutions are in no way close to being gutted and burned to the ground as they should.
Yeah.
all of this right populism that came up and overwhelmed the Republican Party when Trump showed up was effortlessly corralled into the traditional Republican corporate agenda, and then they that's what they've pursued since they got the presidency.
Well, not even just the Republican. I mean, like his institution,
The New York Times.
the New York Times,
Stronger than ever.
It's stronger than ever. They're like, oh, we're the resistance. They had a huge boost in subscriptions. You're doing great.
Yeah.
You're making bank off of this shit.
No, everything's fucking great for these people. Like, they get to, just by running their same shitty articles, they get to act like they're crusaders for truth. This fucking asshole, by saying he wants the same things,
I
that led
can't
to
think
Trump.
of any negative repercussions for David Brooks right now.
Honestly,
Yeah.
it
Other
boils
than
down
like
to
people are like, we don't like you.
yeah, he is more aware of criticism of him than he was in the past, and
know-
for him, we're now in the fucking Yeats poem because of that.
I don't know. Maybe he is right because I don't think the left does have a policy that is going to threaten David Brooks' existence, and it should.
Absolutely.
frankly. We need David Brooks targeted policy.
No,
Take David Brooks'
literally.
house should be a plank.
No, I think that there should be, I don't care what you are, left, right, center, independent, libertarian, I don't care. The primary plank of all human achievement and ideology should be defending David Brooks. Protect David at all costs. They're trying to drag David.
But I mean, even if you accept his premises in this piece, he doesn't answer the question of why his small band of reasonable people are being
Fact
overwhelmed. Maybe
Or
the reason
how.
for that, or how, maybe the reason for that, if it was even happening, is the fact that your recipe for challenging this massive dislocation that's destroying the lives of millions of people and threatening life on this planet is to ask rich people nicely. That was his policy proposal in that piece, was start a conversation.
Well, no, it was also love. And
is good.
I don't know. We could.
And you know what? Alimony should be settled through mediation and not in the courts.
They just passed a fucking tax bill that essentially turns poor and disabled people into fucking axle grease.
And hang on. How was that tax bill opposed? It was opposed through SJWs and screaming and incivility. They didn't try love.
Yeah.
And I think that you could take someone like a socialist radical like Chuck Schumer and have him just go up to Mitch McConnell and just look deep in his eyes and you just grab hold of that little neck waddle on either side and just give him like a deep, passionate kiss.
Does anyone
Yeah.
remember
Oh, man.
the Care Bears movie?
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
Okay, they think it's going to end like that.
Yeah.
Where we all like hold hands and literally say we care at the same time, and then a giant rainbow comes out of our genitals, and then and
We
vanquishes
bukkake them with love and affection.
Yeah, but unfortunately, the world we live in, and Nancy Pelosi is doing call-out culture to the tax bill, and it's Black Lives Mattering all over the social media backlash.
Bernie called me a dry dick fuckboy.
Yeah.
Just imagine trying to sit across from a table and have a conversation with a glassy-eyed psychopath like Paul Ryan. It's like be looking into a shark's eyes and trying to like get him to not eat you in the middle of the ocean.
The bottom line here is that David Brooks is disturbed by what he sees in politics right now on both the right and the left, and it behooves him to make an argument that they are essentially the same thing.
And remember, his evidence in this piece of they're the same thing is that Roy Moore supporters decide that a bunch of women who've never met each other were all coordinatedly paid by the Washington Post and the New York Times to lie about their boy trying to fuck them when they were kids, and liberals wanting a $15 minimum wage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like that we're now
They're
like,
both about being 15.
on the fringes, we're succumbing to conspiracy theories, and because we believe everything is war now. David Brooks was a contributing editor to the Weekly Standard at the height of the Iraq War hysteria. The Weekly Standard, which published articles and a book about how Saddam was connected to Al Qaeda.
Yeah.
A conspiracy theory that had actual real-world consequences in the terms of the millions of lives it helped destroy. So here's the thing. David Brooks is responding to this because he doesn't actually know what the contours of like the left or what the real horizons of the left or like the socialism or
he does know one thing though that is correct, and that is that the traditional institutions are in a state of crisis and they have no idea what they're doing. But it's not like a left or even a far right is particularly poised. We're all just like running around with like chickens with our heads cut off.
The most ludicrous part of this is at the end when he says like we're organized and self-confident. It's just like, buddy,
no.
I've got some news for you.
Well, look who's president.
We're trying.
Everyone is completely incompetent.
We're trying, okay? But here's the thing, David, like you need to get out more. You need to like, get in touch with people who are
Yeah, but they keep blowing him off for lunch.
maybe further to the left than your millennial wife is or just or Vox.com is. Yeah. But here's the thing, David. All of the policies that you personally have helped champion in the pages of the New York Times and in the Weekly Standard and your class at Princeton or wherever else you've slimed your way into are all awful. You're evil because of it. And it's not a bad byproduct of a good thing. It's a bad byproduct of your fucking brain. So please stop. Just fuck off. So anyway, that's David Brooks for this week. Now, moving on, I want to talk about my favorite news item of the week. And by favorite, I mean I've been crying and shaking about it for, since I heard the news. Where were you when you heard the Weekly Standard is shutting down?
I was on the toilet.
Reading the Weekly Standard.
Yes.
I was making a phone call to Schnippers. And it's kind of, I'm not a religious person, but I believe in the supernatural. You know what I mean?
I mean, we were just got done talking about how, like, in the Trump era, aggrieved liberals have basically found, like, every way to, like, almost become entirely right-wing as long as it's not Trump.
That's the beauty of Trump, is that he allows them to differentiate themselves from what is considered popularly to be conservatism or right-wingery, but in substance, basically endorse all of those principles.
And man, you could find no better example of that than the fucking, gnashing of teeth and wailing among liberal media douchebags who are all just like, wow. Like, I'm seeing a lot of gloating over this. The Weekly Standard is actually a very intelligent and worthwhile publication that, we need an outlet for intelligent conservative voices, who stand up for sane conservatism. And it's like, you were talking about the magazine that is more responsible for the war in Iraq than and they literally started the war in Iraq. Like, that's not an exaggeration. Like, these guys were the architects of Bush's war on terror and the invasion and occupation of Iraq. If that is sane conservatism to them, like, Donald Trump has not done anything in office yet that's even 1/1000th as insane, dangerous, or murderous as the invasion of Iraq and Afghanistan.
Not even close.
Not even close. And the Weekly Standard was the official mouthpiece for George W. Bush's foreign policy.
Yeah. Well,
and that is sane conservatism.
Everybody fucks up once in a while. But remember, you say that, they had some bad articles, about, welfare or about 500 about the Iraq War and Stephen Hayes talking about how Muhammad Atta used to play, video games with Uday Hussein. But you're forgetting that they gave a platform to authors like Gumbridge Van Winkle and Dingelbert Hofstadter. I mean, these are real thinkers that we got to experience thanks to them.
You can, say that there was just idiotic crap. Fred Barnes, all that stuff. You can
Jonah Goldberg.
But what about the incredible articles of Gordeau Clownstep and his, you could just open up any Weekly Standard and there'd be articles from him like, the case for not tipping your maid, why backgammon still matters. Just incredible stuff. Just the kind of content that you would kill for. And they did, and they were right to.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, they literally killed for the Weekly Standard.
They were
for
right
sure.
to. They were 100% correct to. We've lost a lot. What is essentially like a alt weekly for ephebophilic literature professors in the Upper East Side. It was a major cultural force. This thing that was read by upwards of 70 people a week. If you take away Will and people who read the articles that Will posts,
Look,
which probably constituted 98% of their readership. I may not have agreed with everything, but when I could read a 17,000 word article about, recounting a time where you played bridge with William F. Buckley and he made like a coy anti-Semitic remark and you had fun, it was good shit. I had a good time, man. That's what matters.
Like the Weekly Standard has never made money, whether it's like and all of these sort of vanity publications like the Weekly Standard or the Free Beacon or whatever. These are just make work jobs for like boys with the roundest skull.
It's the Esplanade from season 4 of The Sopranos.
Yeah, these are just make work jobs. That they literally they hire these people, and it's like they're underwritten, so it's like they're paying people to read their articles about why George Bush is a modern Pericles.
this is spoken like somebody who never read Lemuel Pitcairn's fashion column, sir.
The sartorial column from Pitcairn, it was just, I will know, he was witty too.
Yeah.
Like he unfortunately, he was one of the only people, I think the only person in America in 2015 who died of consumption. But when he said, he famously said to Harry Reid that he dressed like a Welshman. That was like, I don't care who you are. That's funny.
Yes.
It's witty.
Again, there can be no more clear dividing line. Again, if we're going to we were talking, Liz, about good people and bad people. I mean, we all draw these lines for ourselves, but for me, there can be no clearer line. If you think that anything of value was lost in the Weekly Standard shuttering, I'm afraid there's no coming back for you.
Toilet flush sound.
You can do your purity test, but there was no stronger conservative bulwark against Donald Trump than the Weekly Standard. Who among us can forget when Marshall Goodcookie bravely came out against Donald Trump and said he's not serious about solving the Polynesian problem? That was courage. Any Democrat can resist Trump,
Okay.
but for a man like Goodcookie, like, my God.
I mean, people had to stand up and take notice.
Okay,
Yeah,
but like-
they had to, man.
Even if you read, if you take seriously the pretensions of these assholes, that it's important that there still be outlets, even though they're only read by 70 people, and then just like make no money and are essentially
70 people and then however many followers you have.
Yeah, exactly. yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. 80,070 people.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, no one's paying for this bullshit outside.
No.
Like 70 people in Chevy Chase, Maryland.
Yeah.
Who are all war criminals or ephebophiles.
Yeah.
Or have gout. Like that. That's it. The idea that like the idea that the Weekly Standard stood for like a sane conservative as opposed to Donald Trump. Well, like when people say Donald Trump is like this is conservatism gone mad. Like, okay, what they're talking about is they mean he does nationalistic sort of demagoguery and jingoism. The Weekly Standard did that to a T. Look up in their back catalog for like all of their articles about like George Bush as a marble statue, just a war presidency. Like
Rebel in chief.
Yeah, like how hard their dicks got about him being a war president. They think, okay, Donald Trump, he just outright lies about things with no compunction whatsoever. Stephen Hayes, the current editor of the Weekly Standard, or now former, literally wrote a book called The Connection. The Connection, about how Saddam Hussein was literally in cahoots with Al Qaeda and did 9/11.
Yep.
Okay. Then there is the Donald Trump, unlike sane intellectual conservatism, is sort of a crass and vulgar populist.
What?
Bill Kristol personally got John McCain to have Sarah Palin as his running mate, and there was a big Weekly Standard cover story on Sarah Palin titled "Is she the one we've been hoping for?"
Yeah.
Would it surprise you? The answer was yes.
Yeah.
She was the one they were hoping for.
Well, at least he asked the question.
Yeah.
Well, it's the classic Van Poppen thing is that when they conjured Palin, they thought this is the person we can use to whip up the rubes enough to get into office. But thankfully, they'll be in a subservient position, and our guy John McCain will really be in charge. So we're going to still have our hand on the tiller. And then, oh shit, the Sorcerer's Apprentice, it got out of their hands, and it turned into Trump. and they no longer have that sense that they have final say on policy. And so they're like, oh no. It's like, sorry, motherfucker, this is what it was all leading towards. And you recognize that. That's why you recognize the hollowness of conservatism and the need to inject it with populist vigor. And that's why you fucking picked Sarah Palin. And it went out of your hands because this is the historical process. You're in the dustbin of history.
Was Van Poppen the guy who wrote their bridge column? No, I mean, it is all the people lamenting it, as a thing against Trump. It's just like, do you know that Zoo Cage Unlockers Monthly has come out strongly against tigers roaming the streets?
And then, like, the final thing, they outright lied and made literally out of whole cloth, made up a case for why Saddam was a threat to the world in America, which involved
bullshit.
Not exaggerations or misinterpretations.
Lying.
Conscious outright lying, which they have pretty much admitted amongst themselves.
Oh, yeah.
They stoked jingoistic demagoguery during all of the war on terror, and about how anyone who was against it was disloyal.
Well, how many fucking covers the Weekly Standard had some grotesque bearded hippie with a stop the war sign that just said the traitors amongst us?
Exactly. They consciously stoked ignorant Yahoo populism and Sarah Palin. And finally, let's not forget, Trump literally says, shit like, it's snowing right now. What happened to global warming? And we're going to have the best air. I have the best air.
The air's fantastic.
And it's things that are good, which
Folks,
I like.
The air, it's so good. The air is amazing.
I mean, but the Weekly Standard, again, had numerous cover articles about like how Al Gore, the emperor has no clothes, like the Arctic ice shelf is actually growing in size as it drifts closer to Manhattan.
It's really funny that conservatism just boils down to a sort of social battle between two different types of stupid guys from Manhattan, and the dumber stupid guy won.
Yeah,
and props to him. Good work, dude.
Yeah, he wanted it less.
But I mean, but the final point that must be made is they're not good writers, intelligent, thoughtful, or decent people at all.
No.
They're every bit as stupid, every bit as vulgar, and every bit as ignorant as like any Fox Nation TV show, as any fucking QAnon Yahoo.
Yeah.
They're better educated maybe, but no one who has ever written for the Weekly Standard is a thoughtful person or a good writer in the slightest. Not only that, they are all fundamentally indecent, rotten people who should be dismissed out of hand entirely and should be treated as such. And the fact that their evil magazine is shutting down because literally nobody reads it and no one fucking cares is a fate far, 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 far lighter than what every one of these people who's ever even contributed an article to that piece of shit fucking rag deserves.
Yeah, it's like, look at what happened to Julius Streicher and count your fucking blessings that you just have to retire to the Hamptons. But, I mean, just to say, finally, you were talking about how insane it is to see liberals bemoaning the end of the Weekly Standard. It's because of what we said earlier. They want things to be back to normal. They want Republicans to be normal again. They don't want this sort of unhinged, pure populism, all of it overseen by this clearly unstable, senile maniac. They want the same. They want a worthy adversary who they parenthetically mostly agree with, and they want to. Because the thing is that because they mostly agree, it is necessary for them to keep politics in that kayfabe world that we've talked about, where everyone speaks the language of politics. They keep their speech very corralled intentionally within acceptable margins, because as soon as you start coloring outside the lines, the hollowness of it starts to reveal itself. And as soon as popular forces enter the political realm, it just destabilizes that system, but the bipartisan consensus on economics from the left and the right, which is why they see them as equal threats, regardless of where they are in this arbitrary, dyad. And it's like but it's up to the left really to figure out how to take control of it, because otherwise you can't let these liberals be in charge of it, because they're just going to close their eyes and wish that things would go back, and then you're going to blink and the fucking Nazis are going to be everywhere. They're going to be in charge of everything.
I mean, I want to give an actual example here of the Weekly Standard, and what I mean that like these people not only are they stupid, not smart, and every bit as evil as Trump, and in fact, in my opinion, considerably more evil than him, this is what we're losing. This is an editorial written by Robert Kagan and William Bill Kristol in February of 2004, right around the time that the wheels were like really starting to come off the Iraq War, which again was their creation and their responsibility.
6 months had passed and 6 more months.
Yeah.
No fucking weapons had been discovered.
It was a really crucial 6 months. I remember that.
This is called the right war for the right reasons.
Oh, yeah.
And this is their attempt to like
man.
keep pumping that corpse or million corpses, I suppose. I just want to read just a little bit from this. This is their best case for it. One reason critics have been insisting the administration claim the threat from Iraq was imminent, we believe, is that it's fairly easy to prove that the danger to the United States was not imminent. But the central thesis of the anti-war argument, as it was advanced before the war, asserted that the threat from Iraq would not have been imminent even if Saddam had possessed every conceivable weapon in his arsenal. So think about what they're saying there to rescue their integrity, is that now it's very easy to advance the case that Saddam Hussein was not an imminent threat to the United States, but the people advancing that case would have believed that even if they had all of the made-up weapons that we said he did.
Exactly.
Which, by the way, I still fucking would have. Remember, the vast majority of arguments against the war assumed that he did not have these weapons. But those weapons, it was argued, did not pose an imminent threat to the nation because Saddam, like the Soviet Union, could be deterred. Indeed, the fact that he had the weapons, some argued, was all the more reason why the United States should not go to war. On Meet the Press on February 8th, Tim Russert asked the president whether the war in Iraq was a war of choice or a war of necessity. The president paused before responding, asking Russert to elaborate as if unwilling to accept the dichotomy. He was right. After all, fighting a war of choice sounds problematic. Indeed, by the Nuremberg standards, it is not just problematic, but a war crime of the highest order.
Feeling V gross right now.
But how many of our wars have been, strictly speaking, wars of necessity? How often did the country face immediate peril and destruction unless war was launched? Was World War I a war of necessity? Was World War II before the attack on Pearl Harbor or afterwards with respect to fighting Germany in Europe? Was the Spanish-American War a war of necessity? Was the Korean War? Never mind Vietnam, the Dominican Republic, Grenada, Panama, Somalia, Haiti, Bosnia, and Kosovo. What about the first Gulf War? Many have argued that Saddam could and indeed was contained in Kuwait and that he could have eventually been forced to retreat by economic sanctions. In some sense, all of these wars were wars of choice, but when viewed in the context of history and international circumstances, they were all based on judgments about the costs of inaction, the benefits of action, and on strategic calculations that action then would be far preferable to action later in less favorable circumstances. In other words, war was necessary to our national interest, if not absolutely necessary to the immediate protection of the homeland.
But those were bad.
Those are literally the most optional wars
That's
in
just a
history.
list of massive crimes. Millions of people killed for no fucking reason.
He's naming, he's like, oh yeah, well, if you say this is an optional war, what about, the War of the Chili's parking lot in 1983? It's just like the most optional wars, the least essential ones. What a great, we are going to miss a lot. I already miss it.
In this case, we believe that war would have come eventually because of the trajectory that Saddam was on.
Just like Grenada.
Or Haiti or the Dominican Republic. Dominican Republic.
Spanish-American War.
Yeah.
We were just going to get fucking flocked by armadas. It was going to suck.
Yeah, they were building a giant slingshot in Madrid that had the power to launch a crate of Madeira across the Atlantic.
Yeah, if you're eating gumbo instead of paella, thank a Marine.
And he goes, so what about those stockpiles? The failure to find them, and now David Kay's claim that they did not exist at the time of the invasion last year. This has led many to maintain the entire war was false pretenses. We have addressed that claim.
Okay. All right, that's
Never
enough for
mind
me.
that.
All right.
Let's get lunch.
Speaking of the search for his non-existent weapons of mass destruction, and again, in this article, what they do is they focus only on anthrax and chemical weapons and elide the fact that what they were actually selling was a viable nuclear program that was within days of launching like an act. Remember, we don't want the smoking gun to be in the form of a mushroom cloud.
Yeah.
A line written by everyone's new best friend, David Frum. Whatever the results of that search, it will continue to be the case that the war was worth fighting. Good. And that it was necessary. For the people of Iraq, the war put an end to 3 decades of terror and suffering.
Woo! Damn
Well,
right.
that's okay.
Good thing the war caused no terror and
Not at
suffering
all.
for the Iraq people.
And Iraq,
people.
people say it's doing the best out of any of the countries.
It's
more and more people.
More and
are saying
more.
that.
You know what? I have it a good authority that they're going to revalue the dinar any day now.
The mass graves uncovered since the end of the war alone are sufficient justification for it.
And what about the ones created by it?
Assuming the United States remains committed to helping establish a democratic government in Iraq, that will be a blessing both to the Iraqi people and to their neighbors. As for those neighbors, the threat of Saddam's aggression, which hung over the region for more than 2 decades, has finally been eliminated, mainly on behalf of Iran, which is hilarious. The prospects for war in the region have been substantially diminished by our action. Again, this is written in 2004.
Name
fiction.
one major war in the region after that.
This is all checking out.
It is also, this is the end here. It is also becoming clear that the Battle of Iraq has been an important victory in the broader war in which we are engaged. A war against terror, against weapons proliferation, and for a new Middle East.
Yeah.
Already, other terror-implicated regimes in the region were developing weapons of mass destruction, are feeling pressure, and some are beginning to move in the right direction. Libya has given up its weapons of mass destruction program.
Let's go, dude!
Call back to the Adam Curtis episode, but for true fans of the show will remember the Libya giving up its weapons of mass destruction thing was the ultimate kayfabe by Gaddafi, still number one in our hearts. The Green Book, still the greatest book. Yeah. Like his sons
are Harry Potter.
They literally said like we just said that we gave up our imaginary program to get like sanctions lifted or to have Tony Blair come and visit the country and be like they're good now.
Yep.
It's the best lying brag ever.
Yeah.
Yo, no shit. I actually had 1,500 ballistic missiles, but I gave that shit up. I'm done with. It's the guy who's like, yeah, I used to be in the fucking CIA, but I can't kill people anymore, dude. No shit. I have a daughter.
The Libya giving up its weapons of mass destruction program was one of the purest instances of kayfabe horseshit in the world. And it was like Gaddafi, they're just like, well, it's not looking good in Iraq. There were no weapons of mass destruction. But what if we could get Gaddafi to say he's giving up his nuclear weapons program? Yeah. And then guess what? It worked. Gaddafi for a short period of time was accepted back into the international community.
Interesting evening with an interesting man, as John McCain said.
Yeah.
Just recreated Paris and Benghazi with Colonel Gaddafi and his friends.
And this is the closing line. From Iran to Saudi Arabia, liberal forces seem to have been encouraged. We are paying a real price in blood and treasure in Iraq, but we believe that it is already clear as such things get in the real world, that the price of the liberation of Iraq has been worth it.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Just think, where are we going to get?
Where are we going to get these kind of takes?
Where are we going to get thousands of words of apologia for, probably the greatest disaster of the 21st century?
I mean, where are we going to get the articles calling Trump a pussy for not bombing Iran?
Or literally saying, hey, if you're going to call the war in Iraq a war crime, then you might as well call Korea and Vietnam war crimes, buddy.
If we're getting silly.
I mean, okay, you can cherry pick articles like that constituted about 75% of their output. But, what about the literary wit? What about the cultural aspects of Weekly Standard?
Yeah. So many dudes wearing capes going and complaining that people were texting at the musicals that they went to.
Yeah, it was the only place where you could get a vampire's perspective of how hard it was to see a matinee.
Dude, where else could you get, PJ, just a delightfully witty PJ O'Rourke column about, how his son won't stop listening to the damn Zune MP3 player.
Oh, good. PJ O'Rourke is so fun. When he talks about epic bourbon,
PJ O'Rourke is so funny, has always been funny, is seriously one of the funniest writers. And if you don't think that, if you actually think that PJ O'Rourke is actually one of the least funny or entertaining people who's ever existed, then buddy, you're robbing yourself of just good comedy.
Yeah, I feel bad for you.
Did you know that Eddie?
Even his son Beto thinks that he's really funny.
Did you know? Well, now that Weekly Standard's out of business, we will be spending the entirety of our revenue to give a platform to PJ O'Rourke.
Yeah.
Distributing PJ O'Rourke in every language in the world.
Yeah. Well, sorry, James Adomian. We didn't want to tell you this way, but you've been fired. All of the cold opens and impressions and stuff. That's all going to be PJ.
All hosts are replaced by PJ O'Rourke. All guests, just PJ all the time. You know, you people complaining that we need to do more premium episodes. We're getting 5 a week. Every workday, PJ O'Rourke. Let's go.
Moving on. If y'all thought I was going to be done dancing on the grave of the Weekly Standard,
You don't
after
know
last
Will
week's
Menaker
show,
if you thought that.
yeah.
He got new dancing shoes.
I mean, Will and I spent the Bush years just as like war boys trying to destroy the caravan of the
Shiny
Weekly
and
Standard.
chrome.
Just trying to blow the wheels off of the Weekly Standard mobile while
Yeah.
the war wagon.
Yeah, as I tried to like just drive my dune buggy under the wheels of Fred Barnes's suburban caravan.
Yeah,
his
headed to
fucking-
Baghdad.
Yeah,
just trying
yeah.
to get under the spokes. Witness me.
Witness me. And it's finally dead.
Yeah.
It's finally dead hilariously because their billionaire sugar daddies, first Rupert Murdoch and now Phil Anschutz, is just like, there's no fucking angle to
Yeah,
be
what's the
played
point
in
of
being an
this?
anti-Trump conservative anymore.
Like,
Yeah.
who are we playing to? All this respectable opinion we thought had to come along with our conservative retrograde shit. We don't need it anymore.
And I want to sup and imbibe deeply of this glee over the misfortune of others by just checking in on David Brooks, who wrote a whole column about it this week called Who Killed the Weekly Standard? In my opinion, a better title and topic for an article would be All the People the Weekly Standard Killed, of which you're talking millions.
Yeah, I'd
Literally
like to see
millions.
that issue. Just the names.
And once again, I mean, I know I'm repeating myself here, but I've seen even more of it this week because there was some hope that they would get a reprieve or another investor. Now it's all fully dead.
Yeah, they
And
fucking shut the doors.
They kicked them all out, gave them the fucking put their desks in a box and kicked them out the door.
They cut them off,
Yeah.
basically. It's
Phones-
like you've been living in the boathouse too long.
yeah.
I'm gonna get to some of like the more ironic reactions of them, particular being like, "How could you do this to working journalists and writers?" Which is hilarious. But I've seen so many reactions from like liberals be like responding to Bill Kristol, who'd been like, all good things must come to an end. Working for the Weekly Standard, one of the proudest achievements of my life. Blah blah blah. And I saw so many responses from like liberals being like, I may not agree with everything that you say, but like, I just think it's a shame that we don't have an outlet for sane conservative voices. These people started
The New York
not
Times
just
isn't good
started
enough
the
for them?
Iraq War. They dreamt it up before it was even a thing.
Yeah.
And before 9/11, they were trying to raise tensions with China because they thought that would be the 21st century.
Yeah, they were like, oh, this post Cold War doldrum, this isn't going to work. We need a justification for the
people
for the
who
military.
literally-
Conflict.
Yeah.
through their own fantasies that they had been like kept close to them since the Reagan and Ford administrations, helped start the Iraq War and the war on terror and everything that's come after that. If that isn't insane to you, I know conservatives seem batty now because, like they're saying dumber things, but like what could actually be more insane than starting the war in Iraq and actually doing it?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing that's the reason that a lot of these guys think Trump is a dangerous maniac is because one of the crazy things he believes is that the Iraq war was a bad idea. At least now he's full of shit. But at the time he thought it was a good idea, but he retroactively decided it was a bad idea. And that's when they all realized we have to stop this guy. And then when they couldn't, they're like, well, we're going to just complain about him in our fucking dork ass newsletter that we send to each other's house.
But
It's just they're gonna continue it, but it's just gonna be like tin cans on string, like spread throughout Virginia.
I mean, by the end of it, it was basically just the Rod and Todd's newspaper that they just slip under each other's door in the Upper West Side and in Northern Virginia.
I want to look at this David Brooks piece because I think it is very indicative of their mindset, their now wounded mindset about this. That like they think that like humanity owes them this journal of excellence and thought,
Yeah.
and intellectual
Because some
thought.
things are more important.
Exactly. So David Brooks writes here: I've only been around Phil Anschutz. Phil Anschutz.
Phil Anschutz.
A few times. My impressions on those occasions was that he was a run-of-the-mill arrogant billionaire. What, as opposed to the other kinds that you've met,
Visionary
David?
geniuses?
Yeah.
You mean the people you think should have total control of society, you fucking dork?
He was used to people courting him, and he addressed them condescendingly from the lofty height of his own wealth. Again, as opposed to David Brooks, who like literally every one of his columns is addressing his readers condescendingly from a lofty perch of the New York Times.
Yes.
A job he got, by the way, after making a name for himself at the Weekly Standard.
Writing insane gibberish.
I've never met Ryan McKibben, who runs part of Ann Schuntz's
Anschluss. That's what
Anschluss.
we're going with
Just
now.
call it
Yeah.
Philip Anschluss Media Group. But stories about him have circulated around Washington over the years. The story suggested that he is an ordinary corporate bureaucrat with all the petty vanities and lack of interest in ideas that go with the type. Again, just keep this in mind because it's going to be relevant.
This
This
is a
week-
messy bitch.
This week they murdered the Weekly Standard. Murdered.
They
the week-
dropped a laser guided bomb on the Weekly Standard.
They
They
murdered.
shredded it with depleted uranium tank
They
shells.
murdered the Weekly Standard so badly that their children will be born with deformities for generations to come.
God, I hate it.
No, I mean,
hated
a
how
better
they-
metaphor would actually be last week, the Weekly Standard succumbed to a long battle with prostate cancer.
The conservative opinion magazine that Ann Schultz owned, they didn't merely close it because it was losing money. Of course it was. They never made money once. They seem to have murdered it out of greed and vengeance. Again, murdered it out of greed and vengeance. This is the one kind of bad billionaire that
Yeah.
does that
Yeah,
to a media company.
When they, when the Union Carbide kills 20,000 people at Bhopal out of greed, that's okay. That helps the bottom line.
Again, the language here, they're murdering it out of greed and vengeance. Again,
Vengeance for what?
I'm going to say it again. These people started the Iraq War. That killed about 1 million people. And guess what? Guess why they did it? Greed
and
and
vengeance.
vanity
Yeah.
and vengeance
Yeah.
as well. John Podhoretz, you guys know him, right?
Yeah.
You're familiar
J-Pod.
with John Podhoretz.
Oh, yeah.
One of the magazine's founders reports that they actively prevented potential buyers from coming in to take over and keep it alive. They apparently wanted to hurt the employees and harvest the subscription list so they could make money off of it. And Ann Schultz, being a professing Christian, decided to close the magazine at the height of the Christmas season and so cause maximum pain to his former employees and their families.
What if it had been? What if
Wow.
it had been a fucking car factory?
Okay.
What if it had been like an auto plant?
One of the last articles in the Weekly Standard, not last, but like very, very recent article in the Weekly Standard, written by Bill Crystal, the founder and editor-in-chief of the magazine, was basically about how the white working class needs to go and be replaced with a better class.
Yeah.
And that they should stop complaining about all their Rust Belt factory jobs
Yep.
and manufacturing
Yep.
and stop using all their bitter hatred and resentment of other people
Yep.
to make themselves victims and complain about,
Ugh.
dynamic global capitalism.
Awful.
And he basically just said, stop whining, move on, get better skills,
Yeah.
better yourselves in your life. And these hardworking guys who have literally had a make work job their entire life, where they got to fart out like George W. Bush, the modern Pericles, where they used a billionaire's money to literally pay other people to read their writing.
Yeah.
That's exactly how these things functioned.
Yeah. I do like the idea that they close on Christmas, so they're all gonna sleep. They're gonna spend Christmas under a fucking overpass or something, passing around a can of fucking baked beans.
Well, Tiny Tim is never going to get that surgery. And
Yeah. Well, I guess it's just back to the American Enterprise Institute for me.
you know that they have like a fantasy too, where like Anschluss is going to read this and be like,
His heart grew 2
yeah,
sizes.
yeah,
His
yeah.
heart shrunk
Is that-
2 sizes that
his heart
day.
shrunk 2 sizes, or he was visited by ghosts, and then he wakes up and he's like, "What day is it today, boy?" And it's not too late, and he's gonna open it back up.
Why, it's Operation Enduring Freedom Day, sir. Get me the biggest, fattest Schnippers burger. By the way, friend of the show, Patty Mo, who I'm sure you know, he sent us a picture today of the Schnippers restaurant in the New York Times
In the New
building.
York Times building.
Like half of the lights in the Schnippers sign are out, and he was just like very classy of them to be at half mast for the Weekly Standard.
I'm sure J-Pod appreciated that.
So the closing of the Weekly Standard is being told as a Trump story, as all stories must be these days. The magazine has been critical of Trump, and so this is another example of the gradual hegemony of Trumpism over the conservative world. That is indeed the backdrop to what happened here, but that's not the whole story. In reality, This is what happens when corporate drones take over an opinion magazine, try to drag it down to their level.
Now you have a problem with drones.
Yeah. Okay, no, get ready. Try to drag it down to their level and then grow angry and resentful when the people at the magazine try to maintain some sense of intellectual standards. This is what happens when people with a populist mindset decide that an uneducated opinion is of the same value as an educated opinion, that ignorance sells better than learning. Again, their educated opinion being mostly that Saddam Hussein literally worked with Al-Qaeda to plan and pull off 9/11.
Right.
One of their managing editors, Stephen Hayes, wrote an entire book about.
Right.
That's an educated opinion.
Super educated.
So damn educated.
He goes, I was on staff of when the Standard was founded. Bill Kristol, Podhoretz, and Fred Barnes. Yeah, think of those intellectual titans right there. They gathered the most concentrated collection of talent I have ever been around. The first masthead featured Charles Krauthammer.
Oh, damn.
Dead. P.J. O'Rourke. Dead. Robert Kagan. Dead. David Frum. Dead. Chris Caldwell. Dead. Matt Labash. Wet. Tucker Carlson. Dry. And the greatest political writer of my generation, Andrew Ferguson. Probably pedophile. Allegedly. I don't know. I just made that not actionable.
He's British, dude.
Parody.
He's British. He's British. He's a British Tory from the Oxbridge. Like,
Yeah.
I alleged is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Early issues feature the writings of Tom Wolfe, dead, Gertrude Himmelfarb, mother of all tears, James Q. Wilson, Q, he is QAnon, and Harvey Mansfield. Harvey Mansfield.
Yes.
One of my favorite editions, and this is something I put in the book in second pass, and I'm so glad that I did. Harvey Mansfield is the literal professor of manliness at Harvard.
Manliness.
He teaches a class at Harvard on manliness.
Yeah.
Is this like how there are a lot of like weather reporters with the name Storm?
No, and he was Bill Kristol's professor at Harvard, and he is like the neocon godfather. He teaches a class on manliness, and in a famous New York Times profile of him written by Deborah Solomon, she asked him how he personally demonstrated his manly prowess, and he literally said, "Opening jars for my wife, who is very small, and moving furniture around our house, sometimes, but not regularly."
To be fair,
Damn,
I think
dude.
that's mostly what we want.
Is that what women want?
I mean, like in terms of manliness, it's like we can do most of the other stuff. Some of those jars are tight.
To
Opening a
open the
pickle jar.
jars and move the credenza around and hear the lamentations of your woman.
No,
We don't really need
to hear
anything else.
No, to open the jar and move the couch and then hear the adulations
Yeah.
of the women because you are being very manly.
No, but in that, he basically demonstrated the lack of functional utility of masculinity in the modern age. It's like, yeah, that's pretty much the only thing. Like, we can do our taxes and everything.
And the
yeah.
other thing is do a Harvard class on manliness.
Right.
I
Which
learned
is definitely not pussy shit.
I learned my manliness in the streets, reading Maddox's alphabet. Okay, that's the real street knowledge.
Tucker
Right,
Max,
right.
Yeah.
Maddox,
Yes, that's where you get your real fucking
Adam Carolla.
Yeah.
That's dirty half-court manliness. That's behind the back passing manliness.
That's Goodwill Hunting manliness. You take that street knowledge manliness, and then you go into the fancy Harvard bar and you shred those preppy manly guys.
And he's like, you probably read Gordon Wood on masculinity.
I read Maddox.
It's when you get to Maddox, you'll realize.
Yeah.
The person at the bottom of the editorial masthead, a young Nomi Rao, has just been nominated to replace Brett Kavanaugh on the U.S. Court of Appeals. How many rapes has she done? I don't know. I'm just wondering. It was and remains a warm, fun, and convivial group. The magazine's tone was part high intellectualism, part street-level political reporting, and part Hunter Thompson-style gonzo journalism.
Whew. I'm going to need a big old citation.
That was when they had a little...
Who can forget when Gertrude Himmelfarb did a whole bunch of ether and then shot a typewriter?
No, like, their
You can
example
remember
of that
when
is
Jonah Goldberg had one too many cigars on the National Review cruise.
They're talking about when PJ O'Rourke, he went to Paris or something, and he just like made fun of the French while drinking a cognac or
and he
something.
kicked a gypsy down in the metro train stairs.
Yes. They're like, damn, son.
The Standard was conservative, but frequently dissented from the Republican establishment and delighted in modern pop culture. The staff was never unanimous about anything. The many flavors of conservatism were hashed out on his pages. The many flavors of conservatism from shit,
Unflavored for me.
from shit to vomit.
Yeah.
Also, like, it's not like these people had particularly like acerbic writing or anything.
No, not at all. No,
it's
yeah.
like just bland horse. It's like the only things that ever stood out were when they would just, it would be needle-nosed, dorky, very pretentious prose. Like, I've read all the books prose.
Yeah,
and then
but
all
it
of a
was
sudden they would just drop,
mostly-
and they would just be glassy-eyed psychopaths talking about the need for a resurgent
muscular-
It was
American empire
mostly
to
like
drown the world in
arsenic
blood.
cream of wheat. It wasn't like, you know.
But no, then they would stop and be like, yes, we must drown the world in blood to consecrate it. They'd start just chanting in a dead language.
Over the past few years, if all the stories are correct, McKibben tried to change the tone of the magazine. He tried to get the Standard to hire highly partisan shock jock streamers. He tried to tilt it more in the direction of a Republican direct mail fundraising letter. When these efforts were blocked, resentment flared and the axe fell.
So he tried to make it profitable.
Right.
yeah.
He tried to make it a going media concern in an era of polarization and like a mass Republican
He behaved like a
base.
rational capitalist.
Yes, he's a guy who sees the direction of the Republican media class and what they want out of their media, and tried to give it to them. So he tried to do capitalism. That's what they're complaining.
The Standard is now gone, but the people and ideas the Standard nurtured will continue to flourish. The million or so Iraqis, they will continue to nourish the ground that they now
Yes.
occupy.
Yes.
The depleted uranium left in Fallujah will be nourishing that part of the world for
Yep.
probably the next 10,000
They're
years.
nourishing those white blood cells.
Yeah. The talented young people who were fired this week will go on to have brilliant careers.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, they
What are
will.
you crying about? These guys all have six-figure signatures at fucking think tanks or like the fucking reserve, the federal court system. They're all getting chambered into the shit tornado, and they're all put back into the actual machinery of producing policy that's going to destroy everything. So don't worry
here's
about
the last line.
it. Don't cry for them, Argentina.
The courage.
Where many of the early writers for the Weekly Standard lived after World War II.
The courage and integrity Hayes has shown during the Trump era will continue to inspire while the drab corporate bureaucrats fade into the sand. Okay, so again, he began this with using the language of murder in the name of greed and vengeance, that they can't do their Vanity Fund newsletter every week. And then Stephen Hayes, by being the respectable Never Trump, that's courage and integrity he's showing, while the drab corporate bureaucrats. Again, I need to stress here that what they're describing of what happened to them, where some rich billionaire was just like, fuck you, I own you. Like, I'm going to close you and fire all of you right before Christmas. They're fine with those people running every other aspect of capitalism in our economy.
Exactly. They're not going. They're not saying, are there no prisons? Are there no workhouses?
Yeah.
They will literally be fine.
Yeah.
When this happens to people for whom there are actual repercussions to losing a job,
Then they're like,
No
hey,
shit's
that's the way
given.
things go.
When Joe Ricketts literally did the same thing to DNA Info and Gothamist, which actually were worthwhile local media operations, and DNA Info, in my opinion, did a lot of really great.
they did stuff on housing,
Local
Yeah.
news reporting at a time when like actual print local news
Yeah.
journalism is withering away
Yeah.
entirely. When those people literally got not only that, but had their archives deleted, all their clips.
So their clips,
and their
that's
clips are deleted,
vindictive.
and were given a box and just shoved out
That
the
was just
fucking door.
punitive.
John Podhoretz was literally chortling, and his flesh was just rippling as he laughed and chortled at these dumb young people who were stupid enough to try to find or organize a union.
Yeah,
And they're like,
what do you think was gonna happen,
You get what
dumbasses?"
you deserve.
Yeah.
And now he's pretending that the exact same thing happened to him is like, I have been murdered. I have been murdered, sir.
Wow, it
Who
really
will
is.
stand for the victims of the Weekly Standard? But again, they're literally letting healthcare, housing, education, everything run at the whim of insane billionaires.
Yeah.
They're fine with. This is the perfect example of capitalism for thee, not me.
Well,
because what they think is that the ideas, and they always say, of course, the Weekly Standard made money, but what they keep saying over and over is like, the ideas and the intellectual dialogue, the modern agora that we represent, is more important than money.
Yeah.
No, it fucking isn't.
Nothing is more important than money. That's what
yeah.
capitalism is. It's where there's one determiner of value, and it's money. And that's how it solves all your
You had a
questions.
great run of it.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about everyone coming together and demagoguery and populism taking over and warping the market. You just let the market decide.
You had a great run of it.
Look, you had a great gap year.
Yeah, exactly.
Now it's time to get a job.
Yeah, you've been insulated from having your work be subject to the standards of a market economy.
Yeah.
In that, like, you've been underwritten.
Or a moral economy.
Yeah. You've been exempt from both of those standards.
Yeah.
But guess what? All of them will be fine.
Absolutely.
And guess
and
what?
they did the war in Iraq.
And they got the
Spy
war in Iraq.
magazine, all they ever did was give Trump a complex about his hands. That's it. These fucking guys killed 1 million people.
And I guarantee you this, because of all this weeping now, I saw fucking Jake Tapper being like, think of the journalists who like are out of work this week. And I'm like, I'm sorry, like I am like Scrooge for these people. Put them in the fucking debtor's prison.
Yeah.
None of these people are talented. None of them have done anything good for humanity by like writing an article about like what Plato would think about Donald Rumsfeld.
They're
or
all
something.
legacy fucking cases too. They're all just like Podoritz and Goldberg and Crystal. They're all somebody's nephew or somebody's kid, just slotted in there, just frictionlessly slotted in from the school that they didn't deserve to get into right into these jobs in these fucking
Harvey Mansfield
magazines.
got Bill Kristol into Harvard,
Yeah.
by the way.
Right.
Um,
as a favor to Irving.
As a favor to Irving Kristol, who then told him he thought affirmative action undermined the meritocracy.
Yeah.
Very fun. Also a classic anecdote about these people. But here, I want to read another piece. This is from John Schwartz writing in The Intercept this week. John Schwartz is like one of my favorite actual like OG bloggers.
Oh yeah,
who's
he was
still
one of the
good.
few. He's one of the few who you and I read
Yeah.
who is not an insane DNC Russia
Yeah.
idiot now.
Tiny Revolution was his blog. I was a huge fan of him, but he's still spitting that fire, and his hate is still pure. And he came out with the article I was fucking hoping someone would do. I tried to do a little of it when I read you like some of their Iraq War articles the other week, but he came out this week with the 10 most appalling articles in the Weekly Standard's Short and Dreadful Life.
Oh, I love a listicle.
And this is a great, most famous, I just want to read this. Most famous for making the case for the catastrophic invasion of Iraq, the magazine was born just 1 year before Murdoch created Fox News. Both outlets were extremely effective at achieving the same goals via different tactics. Fox was chum for the rubes. The Weekly Standard was chum for Ivy League rubes. Fox pushed mindless belligerence, conspiracism, and a deep hatred for reality. The Weekly Standard did the same thing, but with less cleavage and more quotes from Cicero. And that so perfectly sums up who these people are and what their magazine is for. And I'm sorry, like before we get into this, like all the people who are out of work now, I'm 1000% convinced that because of this and because now that like they have literally are now gladly wrapping themselves in the cloak and mantle of victimhood, it's going to work. And the Democratic Party is going to be the next organ to which the neoconservative parasite hive mind brain bug attaches. It just sticks the thing in the top and sucks the brains
return
out.
of Scoop Jackson.
Yep.
It's happening.
And they're going to have, there's going to be a muscular foreign policy in the Beto Biden administration.
Yep.
Let me tell you that.
Yep.
So I want to go through now. I'm not going to read all of them, but I want to go through the top 10 worst Weekly Standards article with big props to John Schwartz for putting this together. The first one is called The Collapse of the Dream Palaces by David Brooks in 2003.
Okay,
goes,
Hannibal Lecter, Jesus fucking Christ.
From the Weekly Standard's April 28th, 2003 issue, that is a month after the U.S. invasion of Iraq, this may simultaneously be the worst, funniest, and most terrifying writing ever published in the English language. For instance, its opening paragraph includes the phrase, "Now that the war in Iraq is over." You may read it. You must read it for yourself. It cannot be explained, only experienced. What you may find is that it makes you feel as though a sweaty middle-aged man is pointing a gun at you and fervently explaining that people like you who wear red shirts are human scum, and you, all of you, are about to get what's coming to you at last. Then you look down and notice you are not wearing a red shirt, but the man with the gun is. When you finish reading the piece, remember that this was published just 5 months before the New York Times hired Brooks as an op-ed writer. In other words, the Times saw this gibbering so disconnected from reality and it's functionally insane and thought, this is exactly who we want explaining the world to our readers.
Parenthetically, it must be emphasize that Bill Kristol also had a New York Times opinion column.
Very, very briefly.
And they canned him for being too boring and lazy and bad at writing. They've kept Brooks for what is it now?
Forever.
It's almost 20 years
over
now.
10 years, over a decade.
But they had to can Bill. That's how bad he was at this job. The guy who founded this fucking magazine that's supposed to be the modern partisan review.
The next is What to Do About Iraq by Robert Kagan and Bill Kristol. The Iraqi threat is enormous, Robert Kagan and Kristol wrote about
girthy,
the beginning.
It is low-key thick.
At the beginning
It'll bust your back walls.
At the beginning of 2002. It gets bigger with every day that
That's
passes.
so big.
Damn.
We hear from many corners
You
that
could not fit this thread around in your mouth. Never. You'd choke. You'd gag on it.
He goes, if too many months go by without a decision to move against Saddam, the risks to the United States may increase exponentially.
Grow and grow and grow and grow and grow.
Say what you will with your 2020 sign set. This is John now, but you can't deny they totally called this. We know that Mohammed Atta, the ringleader of September 11th, went out of his way to meet with an Iraqi intelligence official a few months before he flew a plane into the World Trade Center.
I mean,
there is no debate about the facts.
That's actually true. There is no debate anymore. That's
The next
no
is,
one will make that argument anymore.
Case Closed by Stephen Hayes, 2004. Hayes spent years trying to prove the case that Saddam Hussein and Osama bin Laden were collaborators. Case Closed is a perfect example of his work in that Hayes successfully demonstrates two things. First, Iraq had fewer ties to Al-Qaeda than any other Gulf state. And second, he is the world's most gullible human being. Here, Hayes faithfully scribbled down the pensees of Douglas J. Feith, then Undersecretary of Defense and known at the Pentagon as the fucking stupidest guy on the face of the earth. The next one, The Bumpy Road to Democracy in Iraq by Fred Barnes, 2004. Operation
Those aren't
Iraqi
bumps, they're bodies.
Operation Iraqi Freedom has gained impressive momentum. Barnes warned us that when we ventured into Baghdad a year after the Iraq War began, but like so many of history's pith-helmeted white people, Barnes was concerned with the recalcitrance of the dusky natives. Iraqis, wrote Barnes, need an attitude adjustment. Iraqis are difficult to deal with. They're sullen and suspicious and conspiracy-minded. Papers obsess on the subject of the brutal treatment of innocent Iraqis by American soldiers, but Barnes knew Iraqis were being treated well by U.S. troops because the troops were super nice to him. Barnes concluded by saying that he wanted to see Iraqis demonstrate an outbreak of gratitude for the greatest act of benevolence one country has ever done for another.
Woo.
Number 5, Breaking the Climate Spell by Rupert Darrell in 2017. This is just pretty standard.
2017, they're still saying, it's no big deal. Get over
The
it.
next one is Campus Disruptor by Naomi Schaefer Riley. Don't even care about that.
Yeah, that's
one.
the only thing that they actually cared about beyond endless war was the campus bullshit, which
here's a good one.
always a sign
Because
of somebody
they're
with their finger on
perpetually on gap year.
yeah, their finger firmly on the pulse of their asshole.
Here's another good one. Number 7, Are Syria's chemical weapons Iraq's missing WMD? Obama's director of intelligence thought, though, by Mark Hemingway. Mr. Molly Hemingway. Mark Hemingway notes that in 2003, James Clapper, who later became director of national intelligence under Barack Obama, bloviated about how we weren't finding any chemical weapons in Iraq because they'd probably been moved to Syria. But Iraq wouldn't have had any incentive to do this. Even if they've been hiding chemical weapons, they're easy to make, and it would have been far simpler just to dump them than manufacture more when the coast was clear. Then Hemingway learnedly explained that while it was largely downplayed by the media, American troops in Iraq also stumbled across caches of chemical weapons. Doesn't this suggest that Bush was right and some of them might have ended up in Syria? No. I mean, what they meant is that they found mustard gas, decaying mustard gas shells.
Decroded containers of it. From the Iraq War or from the Gulf War, which is
is genuinely the most insane one.
They never manufactured it. After.
Here is the most insane one. The Worst Thing About Gay Marriage by Sam Schulman, 2009. Not going to explicate the further connections to Sam Schulman, but
certain fans, quote unquote, of the show might be able to show you those connections on a large cork board with.
It's not me though. It's not me and my family. That's all.
No, for once, it's not you.
Okay. This one is actually the most insane one, and this one actually cuts against the idea that the Weekly Standard was just concerned with like foreign policy and antiquity,
national greatness.
Yeah. Okay. Here, Sam Schulman first expresses amazement at the rapidity with which gays have attained the right to hold jobs, even as teachers and members of clergy, and explain all these rights have made gays not just free, but our neighbors. Also, the only real reason for marriage is protecting and controlling the sexuality of the childbearing sex. Then Schulman frets that gay marriage will obviously lead to brothers marrying brothers and fathers marrying sons.
Of course.
But on the other hand, he's concerned that unmarried gay sex won't face greater social sanction than married gay sex, and plaintively asks, but without social disapproval of unmarried sex, what kind of madman would seek marriage? The upshot
Am I right, guys?
The upshot is that after the initial excitement of gay incest marriage, all the gay Americans will realize marriage is pointless and will stop getting married.
You know, these people always tell on themselves. Like, we know where your head is at. You are projecting your incest fantasy on the entire world.
Weekly Standard, a magazine about getting gay with your dad.
Yeah. How could you not say that and immediately think, oh, what? Is that just me?
I like it. He was like,
well, at the height of the gay marriage debate, that was every week some psycho would come out and just blurt out their own weird fetish. Like when Santorum was talking about people fucking dogs and turtles and stuff. It's like, why did your mind go there immediately?
One of my favorite moments back in the gay marriage debate, the person who made this exact argument about fathers marrying their sons was Jeremy Irons, who briefly lived Huffington Post Live, which was their sort of like, it was like a streaming daytime news show. And they would like interview people, and sometimes they got some pretty interesting guests. And Jeremy Irons was on one time. Jeremy Irons, wonderful actor, one of my favorite actors. Already one of the creepiest people.
So insane.
One of the creepiest people alive.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just he's not just playing.
Yeah.
In Dead Ringers, it's like
Yeah. The Mantle Twins or fucking
Klaus von Bülow.
Klaus von Bülow, like, or
the head Morlock from the Time Machine.
Simon from Die Hard.
Yeah.
They brought up the topic of gay marriage with Jeremy Irons, and he just said,
Jeremy's.
he just said, very interesting, very fascinating to me. Obviously, I'm in favor of love. Love everyone. Everyone thinks should be able to be loved. I love my dog. He literally said, I love my dog the same way I think, a gay person would love their spouse. And then he said, it is interesting though, from a tax perspective. Could a father not marry his son and not pay, inheritance tax? And like the answer to that is, it's currently illegal for a father to marry his daughter to avoid tax liability.
Yeah.
So why would
no. He's English, so it's not.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. There's one. I sort of skip it. The number 10 of the most abominable Weekly Standard articles. Going Soft on Iran by Rule Mark Garect, 2004.
Okay.
The Weekly Standard quickly became the most strident voice for neoconservatism in the U.S., and as we know, there's nothing neoconservatives care more about than democracy. In this article, former CIA case officer Rule Mark Garect writes of his yearning for Iranians to experience it. If you want to read more about how much the Weekly Standard supports democracy in Iran, well, there's a lot for you there. Some people ask why the neoconservatives who care so much about democracy in Iran don't seem to get upset about attacks on democracy here in America, things that they could seemingly do something about, like voter suppression, or why the Bush administration's neoconservatives tried to stage a coup to overturn the results of a Democratic Palestinian election, or why the neoconservatives in the Reagan administration supported death squads in Central America, or why the proto-neoconservatives in the 1950s cared so much about democracy in China, yet didn't care at all about the civil rights movement in the U.S. Ignore these cynics. The evidence they cite about the actions of the neoconservatives. The Weekly Standard expressed their love of democracy, not with boring old actions, but with what truly matters, words. That settles that. So, yeah.
I just want to say, last week there was an event in New York. I don't know where, unfortunately, because I'd like to send a bouquet to the wait staff of whatever establishment this was. But on the 15th of December, according to one former writer for the Weekly Standard,
tonight, Standard staffers from every moment in its 23-year existence gathered for a wake/shiva. The bonhomie was irrepressible. We knew we had been a part of something spectacular and important, and had taken the kind of pride in it unknown to the untalented suits who did it in.
That was, of course, John Podhoretz. And I imagine that whatever this bacchanal was, that the poor waiters had to chew up the burgers and just drop them into their waiting maws like baby birds because they were too busy having irrepressible bonhomie to chew.
Well, also when you're that inbred, your teeth just fall out.
Yeah. I will say that this is indicative of a number of things, the death of the Weekly Standard. And obviously one of them is just the way that populist wing has sort of overwhelmed the intellectual wing and then made it redundant. And it is also reflective of something that Alex Breen has talked about, which is the way that the media that was originally designed to speak to the rubes of the Republican Party, the Fox News conspiratorial, hysteric register, was always meant for the Morlocks and not for the Eloi of the conservative movement. Over time, they basically poisoned their own well, media-wise, and enough of these guys, they got older, and they started watching it, and they started taking it seriously, and so now there isn't really a lot of intellectual difference between the billionaire class of Republican elites and the people that they're trying to stir up with stuff like Fox News. The billionaires think now the same kind of conspiracy shit as the idiots were supposed to. And so they don't need an intellectual patina anymore. They don't need this self-congratulatory little newsletter that they can all put on their coffee tables and feel smug about. They're all in on the whole suite of just dipshit rubery that was originally just supposed to be instrumental and move votes and not actually affect the opinions of the people in charge. And now they really believe it.
I was talking about Network last night, and it's as if, like, at this point, like, Howard Beale's kind of, demagogue character has lost any kind of, everyone has heard what Ned Beatty said. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, there's only profit.
Yeah.
So this idea that there are these ideological battles that the world runs on ideological battles and not battles of power and capital and politics. I think that time has kind of passed. Like, that's washing away.
Well, I just mean that if you read interviews with a lot of these billionaires,
like Sheldon Adelson,
billionaire people, and they believe the same.
Sheldon Adelson's brain is as rotten as like anyone who watches Fox News 10 hours a
like
day.
They believe the same shit about the Democrats. They've got Sharia. They're going to do Sharia law. Like, they think that way.
I'd like to share now. Remember when David Brooks said, like, the Weekly Standard, delighted in pop culture and things that are movies and things like that. I'd like to check in with Treat Ogre, John Podhoretz, in a column. This is his last column for the Weekly Standard called A Valediction. And this is about his career as a movie reviewer or movie critic. Okay, I just want to just show you and Amber the actual picture that they chose to illustrate this article. The most accurate representation of Podhoretz I've ever seen as just a giant baby Huey with a dumb grin stuffing popcorn in his giant maw.
They didn't have to show
how
him
a baby does, like how a baby has to use two fingers because
like
they only adapt the pincer movement
they
first.
Don't have full motor control yet.
I just want to read some of this, and like this is ostensibly a column about movies that stand the test of time and what does and what doesn't. And I would like this is the level of taste that they're operating at the high conservative magazine. The question I've been asked the most across the decades, besides what's your favorite movie, to which the only correct answer is The Godfather. And that goes for you two and everyone else alive, because if you answer differently, you're wrong. And no, The Godfather 2 isn't better. Shame on you. The question is, why are movies so liberal and how can you stand it? Okay. To say that The Godfather is the best movie of all time is the most basic fucking answer you could possibly give.
That's an epic bacon response.
The Godfather is a good movie.
Yeah, it's good. It's fine. I think Goodfellas is better.
Goodfellas is a million times better than The Godfather.
Yeah.
Godfather 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Wait, I got to take another digression. Jennifer Albright found this for me from a Baffler article. I forget the Baffler article, but this is about Murray Rothbard.
Oh, God.
Murray Rothbard loved The Godfather too. In a 1990 pan of Goodfellas, he celebrated Coppola's films as opposed to Scorsese. While The Godfather films depicted, quote, an epic world, a world of drama and struggle, Rothbard complained that Scorsese portrayed the mafia as sordid. The violence is random. The violence is random, gratuitous, pointless, and psychotic. Everyone from the protagonist Henry Hill, and he misspells Ray Liotta's name as Ray Liotta, is a boring creep. Rothbard even thought that The Godfather reflected his own worldview. Organized crime is essentially anarcho-capitalist, a productive industry struggling to govern itself. Eventually, he forgot also that he also called the state, his great enemy, a criminal band. So he didn't like Goodfellas because it showed the people that populate the mafia as gratuitous, sleazy psychos
whose entire premise of being honorable, they'll drop instantly if they become threatened in any way. And we'll just murder everyone and don't give a shit.
I mean, bad things happen in The Godfather, but it is a romanticized view.
Yeah, which is why that's what all the actual mob guys decided to base their bullshit on, because it was so flattering and it gave them this self-perception.
There's order, there's a code.
Yeah, and then they all just kill each other and fucking ratted each other out nonstop.
No, but like for a film critic to say The Godfather is the best movie ever made is the most basic opinion
you could not have
possibly have.
You could not produce an opinion that will make me less interested in your pungent film criticism than that.
But the question most people ask him is, why are movies so liberal and how can you stand it? The answer to how can you stand it is that I stand it just fine. Yeah,
always. It hurts. It hurts my ankles.
I stand it just fine so long as it's not rubbed in my face.
Ooh.
No, the treats are what I rub. The chocolate is what I rub on my face, not politics. Oddly enough, that's pretty much the same answer Hollywood gets at the box office. Its most nakedly political offerings have done pretty badly in the decades I've been writing. The most left-wing movie ever to win an Oscar for Best Picture is probably Platoon, which is supposedly a serious examination of an American crime against humanity during the Vietnam War, but is actually an extended Oliver Stone's psychotic fantasy about murdering his platoon's lieutenant. I mean, again, Vietnam was a war crime against the Vietnamese people. So
shouldn't have done Vietnam.
Whatever, wavy gravy.
Most other efforts at direct conservative bashing end up on the trash heap of cinematic history. Scooter Libby has good reason to dance on the grave of Fair Game, the film that sought to lionize Valerie Plame and earned a whopping $9 million at the domestic box office.
Oh, God, dude. I don't know how anyone has not noticed this, and I stupidly forgot to point this out. Netflix currently has a director's cut of Fair Game that they re-released for 2018. That is on Netflix now.
What is in it that wasn't in
I don't know. I didn't see the first time, and so I wouldn't be able to compare it. But it's because they're trying to capitalize on the Mueller shit. And as we all know, Valerie Plame was the first Mueller thing. Patrick Fitzgerald and his investigation, that's the first Mueller thing. That was the thing that was going to stop Bush.
That wasn't Robert Mueller himself.
No, but it was the same premise. Okay. A federal prosecutor was going to stop the bad Republicans because of what they'd done to Valerie Plame. And that movie is about that. And they fucking re-release a version with, I guess, extra footage that's on Netflix now. It says Fair Game, the 2018 version. So they're trying to get the resistance people to get all whipped up again at the prospect.
But they have no memory. That's
what's so funny. They don't have any memory, and if they watch it, they'd be like, "What happened with this? Oh, right, nobody got in trouble."
Yeah,
and the guy who did get indicted got fucking pardoned.
I expressed a great many opinions in this magazine over the past 23 years, and looking back on them, I'm reminded of the fact that if you judge a movie critic by the accuracy of his opinions, you're never going to like any movie critic ever. There are views I can't even believe.
Accuracy of opinions is a contradiction in terms.
Yeah.
My opinions an opinion can't be accurate.
Accurate, yeah.
He doesn't even know what he's talking about.
He goes on to say that in 1996, I wrote Mr. Hallam's Opus was the only movie you would remember from that year. I mean, I just wanted to let you know that The Godfather is, in his opinion, the greatest movie ever made.
Yeah.
Which just goes to show that he has the brain of a child.
Yeah.
It's not just that either. It's like, what adult man says, okay, what's the greatest movie ever made? Like, what sophisticated, cinephile sits there and ranks things in that way?
No,
like, who is the king
that's
movie?
True. Talking about
who
best
won
movies
the
ever
movie?
Is childish shit anyway.
There is no best movie.
Yeah. There's no best movie.
I don't even have a favorite movie.
And
I don't either.
And not only say that, but make it like some sort of litmus test.
Yeah.
It's not only do I say it's the best movie, it's objectively the best movie.
And he's trying
to
be cheeky,
yeah.
But it's like
he's
utterly childish. Yeah, well, he's covered in cheeks. He's mostly cheek. It's just like utterly childish. Like, I don't know anyone who has. That's like having a favorite color as an adult man.
Anyone who says anything other than great is clearly wrong.
I actually did see Fair Game, and it sucked.
Well, you should watch the new one and tell me what's in it. Did they ADR in references to Trump in the background just to give people, like, goose them and remind them this relates to now?
But again, like, Scooter Libby actually did do that shit. And again,
no, they never proved it.
Oh, right.
He went to see. This is what it's amazing. It's the cycle. It's the flat circle of time, and how people have no memory. Everyone who's so excited about the Mueller investigation, most of this shit is about people obstructing justice and lying to the interviewers. That is what they got Libby for, and they charged him with it because they couldn't get any evidence that it was Rove because nobody would turn on him, and so all they got was Libby for basically, I guess, lying to them or refusing to tell them the truth, and then he got.
See, I told you my evolution on that was like, we discussed before. I was obsessed with the, Flame investigation when it was the Bush because I was like, oh my God, they outed a CIA agent. But I guess it's a sign that I've matured because now I'm like, actually, it's good that they outed a CIA agent, and all CIA agents should be outed. Give me that knock list.
People pointed out, like, what would you have, all those people were mad in the Bush years about that. What would you have thought of Philip Agee when he put all the names out on the street in the 70s? I mean, and then went to Cuba, I mean, was he a hero, or is he basically just doing Karl Rove's bidding because I guess Jimmy Carter was president or something?
Well, that's the Weekly Standard, folks. May it rot in hell forever.
Tamp the dirt down,
yeah,
as Elvis Costello said.
One last thing today. I'd just like to close with this. In the Washington Post, the perspectives, the post-everything section may have reached the nadir of writing entire articles about Trump voters and how they feel about the president. This may be...
I hope we'll get them all. Every one.
Yeah, literally every single person who voted for Trump will have an article written about them and like how do you feel about all it, man? This may be my favorite headline of the year, or one of them, even as we close out the year. I voted for Trump. Now his wall may destroy my butterfly paradise. The Republican Party is...
You know what? You could have seen some of this coming. Like, oh, you think he's going to resurrect manufacturing? He's probably not going to do that. You're probably being snowed on that. Maybe you could even argue, hey, the farmers, if he's serious about this trade stuff, there could be tariffs and it could bite you in the ass. You could maybe argue it. I don't think anybody was going to see this coming, though, that voting for Trump would own their precious butterfly sanctuary.
It says the Republican Party is abandoning the conservative principles I treasured. What? Preserving like monarch butterfly habitats? What
they love
conservatism?
That shit.
Wow.
They would fucking put an oil derrick through a fucking, the last white rhino's head.
Once again, these people do not remember the 90s when the number
Spotted
one
owl.
enemy, the number one enemy of the Republican Party was the spotted owl.
hated
More
that
than
fucking
any
owl.
human being. It was that goddamn owl. They would have fucking shot him in the head. At the RNC, just have fucking Bob Dole come out
I remember
with a fucking Tommy gun and just machine gun an entire cage full of spotted owls.
I remember Rush Limbaugh would have barbecues where he'd have spotted owl burgers.
Yep.
I mean, not for real,
Right.
but So this guy, his name is Luciano Guerra.
Hey, Mr. Trump, what are you doing? You give up my butterflies.
Right now in Mission, Texas, we don't worry about immigrants who
We're
cross.
not so worried about the immigrants.
Oh, you're taking away my butterflies. Gabagool. He says, right now in Mission, Texas, we don't worry about immigrants who cross the border illegally or drug smugglers. We worry about having to defend our private property from seizure by the federal government. I work at the National Butterfly Center, a fucking overpaid government job. Who is this guy? He's using my tax dollars to fucking catch butterflies all day.
Literally.
How do you like that?
I need your cash
He's
to
using
just look at some butterflies.
They're using legalized theft, aka income
Taxation,
tax,
yes.
to fund a national butterfly center, folks. I think the butterflies would be fine without pencil neck government scientists studying them.
They've been around for
think?
thousands of years before the U.S. government came along.
Actually, they're all dying out, along with many other insects that support all life on the planet Earth. It's okay. We don't need to talk or think about that now or ever. But he said, documenting wildlife and leading educational tours for the National Butterfly Center. He's a teacher. He's a government teacher.
Oh my God. And
bureaucrat.
not even of like STEM or something people could use.
No.
Just come look at these butterflies.
He's a
Aren't they
butterfly
pretty?
teacher. He's Professor Butterfly.
He's a professor
He's
of
the
feelings.
monarch. This is the monarch.
He's a professor of feelings.
Many of our visitors are young students from the Rio Grande Valley. When they first arrive, some of the children are scared of everything, from the snakes to the pill bugs. Here, we can show them animals that roam free and teach them not to be afraid. Teach them not to be afraid of butterflies. Who are these weak ass? They're teaching lib children not to be afraid
They're teaching
of butterflies.
them to get fucking safe space from butterflies. These kids need to toughen up. They should run them through fucking obstacle course or something. Drop them in a pit with snakes or something. And instead of being like, "Don't worry, we'll hug you with the butterfly."
We talk about how
And they should do the boo box from Hook, and that will teach them that insects are to be embraced.
We talk about how we planted native vines, shrubs, and trees to attract some 240 species of butterflies, as well as dragonflies, grasshoppers, and other insects. The bugs brought the birds, including some you can't see anywhere else in America, like green jays and the chalacas. This motherfucker's like Jonathan Franzen. He's a birder. And from there, bobcats and coyotes. We want to teach these kids what it takes to create a home for all kinds of animals. How did this guy end up as a Trump supporter?
There's nothing. Yeah, the
He
man
said something about seizure of property.
Yeah, like this federal. Eminent
Well, because they're going to run. I believe what it is they're going to run the wall through there. Right? That's the idea.
President Trump's new border wall, which he has threatened to shut down the government to fund, will teach them what it takes to destroy it. The first section, funded by Congress in 2018 for construction starting early next year, will cut right through our 100-acre refuge, sealing off 70 acres bordering the banks of the Rio Grande. The plan that we've seen calls for 18 feet of concrete and 18 feet of steel bollards with a 150-foot paved enforcement zone for cameras, sensors, lighting, and Border Patrol traffic on the south side of the barrier. Flooding will worsen. On the north side, animals, including threatened species like the Texas tortoise and Texas horned lizard, will be cut off from ranging beyond the wall for feeding and breeding.
You know what I say to the Texas horned lizard? Get a job. Provide some fucking value for your existence, or else tough shit.
And he goes on to talk about all the other wonderful wildlife refuges that are being threatened by. Well, here's the value add. He says ecotourism brings $436 million a year to our economy and supports more than 6,600 jobs. I'm a lifelong Republican who voted for Donald Trump for president in 2016. I want our immigration laws to be enforced, and I don't want open borders. But Mission is not a dangerous place. I've lived here all my life. Here at the National Butterfly Center, 6,000 school children visit every year. Girl Scouts come here when they camp overnight just a mile or so from the Rio Grande. Well, put that wall there or else they'll be fucking raped and murdered by the caravan.
Exactly.
Okay? Buddy, are you do you care more about these butterflies than you do about Girl Scouts?
Apparently he does. Apparently he does. Pretty sick.
Sicko.
Pretty sick. Disgusting.
He really likes the butterflies.
Ugh.
Before this controversy, I voted and sometimes expressed my political views on Facebook, but this issue got me involved in activism for the first time.
Butterfly activism.
I had never gone to a protest in my entire life, but last year I helped organize one, a 4-mile march to the La Lomita Chapel, a historic church on U.S. soil that the wall will block. I also joined a group that succeeded in lobbying the Mission City Council to pass an anti-wall resolution. People have asked me, didn't you listen to Trump when he said that he would build a wall?
This is a good question.
I didn't take the idea seriously during the campaign. I knew he couldn't get Mexico to pay for it. That'd be like asking Hurricane Harvey to foot the bill for rebuilding Houston. And I thought it was just talk. Another candidate making big promises he couldn't keep. I never thought it would actually happen.
Oh,
by
boy.
backing the wall. Oh, no.
Oh, no. The one thing that was the cornerstone of his entire campaign he pursued? Oh, no.
Oh, no, my butterflies. By backing the wall, my party has abandoned the conservative principles I treasure. Less government, less spending, and respect for the law and private property. And then he just goes on to talk about how much it's going to cost to build the wall. Still, I want to be able to tell my grandchildren and great-grandchildren that I fought against the wall. I worry that if it goes up, they're only experience...
All of his children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren are just butterflies.
I fear that their only experience of the Rio Grande Valley's natural beauty will be through the photographs that I take today. If Donald Trump runs for a second term, he will not get my vote.
Well, there we go. We found the one person.
He's lost the butterfly voters.
The butterfly man. If only everyone could meet one butterfly, they would stop voting for Donald Trump.
He's like, I worry that my grandchildren and great-grandchildren will have to form their chrysalis elsewhere and seek pollen in countries
without walls.
Yeah, countries without walls.
Visualize a country without walls. Visualize a country throbbing with chrysali.
That's why I visualize you watching Saturday Night Live every week.
You guys
You
are
were
all...
witness to a great becoming.
Exactly. Your ants in the afterbirth.
And again, like it's just someone murdered the Weekly Standard. Can you believe it, folks? They just straight up murdered.
They just murked that shit.
They just broad daylight just walked up to it.
They popped.
They popped point right in his
back of the
brain.
head.
Yeah.
They popped Weekly Standard in the vacants.
Who will mourn for the Weekly Standard? Who will get justice for the Weekly Standard?
Who today speaks of the Weekly Standard?
Hopefully, no one in a year will
Hopefully-
ever speak of it.
Yeah, hopefully it will be lost in the sands
Look,
of time and the content.
I don't want to get in trouble for this. The Weekly Standard was murdered. I'm just hoping literally all of its editors and writers pass on from natural causes as well.
Yes.
That's all I'm saying.
Just keep going to Schnippers, guys.
I'm telling you, it's all going to be prostate cancer. Even the women, somehow. Somehow. All two of the women.
The first ever case
Yeah.
of female prostate cancer. Yeah, Gertrude Himmelfarb is a good candidate.
Speaking like more broadly of I guess policies or like the moment we're living in now, even though it's hell, right? We're definitely living in hell.
At least we've drinks though.
We've drinks, but like the fact that Donald Trump is president, I think has sort of like wedged open just a crack, just a little bit in like what is considered like
Absolutely.
like
It has
hegemon-
revealed
like sort of
that the
hegemonic
crisis,
politics.
It has revealed the crisis of legitimacy in party politics.
and of like
For
just
better or worse.
broadly speaking, like the liberal capitalist order, right?
Yeah.
And I think people are noticing that certainly on the left, but they're also noticing it on the right. And I want to talk about. I just read that this morning. It was a piece in New York Magazine by Eric Levitz, who is responding to yet another David Brooks piece that is essentially responding to Tucker Carlson, who's made a big splash on the right because he's like now become like the Trump intellectual figure on the right. Try not to we're exercising our scoffing muscles today, Amber.
Yes.
So you can exercise your scoff at that. But like he had a big thing a while ago where he has opened up because he is now like the most popular pundit of like the Trump voting MAGA chud, right?
I think because he's done this, he's like, oh, actually, people are miserable, and that's bad.
And he wrote this book called Ship of Fools, which I haven't read, but I've read enough about it that essentially what he's doing is opening up on the right this idea that like, hey, like maybe capitalism like isn't all it's cracked up to be, or maybe it has produced negative outcomes.
You
insofar,
got to be careful with that shit too, because
Well-
once the right starts talking like that,
like exactly, you got to be very careful. And like what he's actually saying is that like, well, yeah, like maybe the government can do something to alleviate the things that capitalism has caused. But what he's really saying is like capitalism is a problem insofar as it has made these traditional racial and hierarchies that we really like and would like to continue.
Traditional family
and
structure
traditional
and
family
stuff like that,
structure and like the single parent, like man works, woman stays at home. All of those things have declined dramatically since like the 1970s. But what he's saying is like capitalism is a problem only insofar as it
interferes
doesn't
with traditional
deliver
conservatism.
the goods that we really want and care about, which are these things like patriarchal family structure, racial hierarchy, and like the sort of white America.
It's the because people pointed this out, but the Trump thing when he started, people identified that it was a very nascent attempt by a fraudulent senile idiot to articulate a European style conservatism, but it didn't really have any ideological meat to it. It was just his brain synapses firing and what he knew the hogs responded to. And now Carlson is trying to actually give it intellectual like bones and sinew around it and an actual ideology as opposed to just a gesture.
Capitalism is a problem because all these great markets and corporate dynamism and entrepreneurship. I guess they're finally starting to realize at the end of the day they don't give a fuck about how white this country is or not. If anything, corporations have gotten more woke
Absolutely.
and more outwardly liberal and tolerant in their messaging and
it's
advertising.
completely
and
possible for
ideology.
capitalism to be colorblind.
Yeah. Absolutely. And obviously Carlson and the people he represents despises that because if they turn on TV and see an interracial couple eating Cheerios together, they want to fucking vomit. And it's literally capitalism that's doing that to them, because they're fitting the
Capitalism is very deft. It can fit in whatever cultural
And
space it
what
wants.
I think what we're seeing interestingly is both in conservative and liberal elite people who are highly invested in suturing this crack in the fissure are trying to say, like, they finally said, like, what they said, and this is what Eric Levitz writes in this piece on New York Magazine. I'll link to it. I thought it was interesting. He's like, they used to be, like, going into, like, the conservative resurgence in the 80s, like, they could say, no, it's the social liberalism that's the problem. That's what's causing the breakup. Money, capitalism, all the economy, that's all fine. Now, in an attempt to save it, because we've realized, as you were saying earlier, well, it's like the jobs are back. It doesn't really depend, on moral or one way or the other, right? It'll still work.
Yeah.
Without a traditional conservative moral framework to undergird it.
They don't need any of that shit.
Is what they're realizing is that, like, okay, that now actually we're going to have to save the whole thing, we're going to have to start scolding our capitalist masters. And this is what David Brooks attempts to do, is he says that we need a moral family structure because we basically,
well, they're
what
going to get
capitalism
smacked down
needs
into irrelevance pretty
is
quickly.
better people in charge of it. And you know what? Liberals kind of believe that too, but just from a different, slightly different angle or perspective.
But it's a meritocratic, technocratic
Exactly.
view of the
That,
world.
like, that all of the, wealth produced by capitalism is great, and it's the most dynamic system and the only way we can, ever manage an economy or a society of this scale. But essentially, all the people, it's, destroyed, and all the traditions and ways of life and just, quality of life continues to go down, and wages being stagnant. Actually, we just need more moral people in charge of it.
Yeah.
So, like, we need a moral return to moral values both at the top and bottom. And conservatives now, with David Brooks, are even willing to say that of the captains and princes of industry, which they never used to touch. But again, like, the idea that this door has been wedged open, the door, it goes both ways in terms of what's going to come through that opening.
Yeah. Well, it's a cliche to say, like, oh, well, the Democratic Party is the left wing of capital or whatever, but it is. And the success of, I don't even want to say Trump as an institution, because that makes it sound like he had a more coherent political program than he ever did, but the success of, like, Trumpism or whatever as, like, a social movement, just it completely undermined both the Republican and Democratic Party.
That's amazing. He is, to quote our hero, Nassim Taleb, it was the black swan, because a guy with his degree of independent resources and fame had an independent base of operation to talk to the people with, which means that he did not have to sign up to any of the orthodoxies of the Republican Party.
He disrupted.
And then that meant he was able to say things no Republican who came up through the regular system could say. And so that made people start thinking, hey, you know what? You're right. This hasn't really worked for us. This trade system hasn't worked. Capitalism hasn't worked. Now, of course, he's governed the way he, just as a bog standard Republican, because that's the people who are in power, and he doesn't have any of he doesn't have real ideology or the desire to really carry anything out, except for this childish obsession with the wall that he has because he's a baby and it's about his ego. And so all he's really done is tax cuts, which they would have done anyway. But it has opened this Pandora's box of possibility. And yeah, this is the thing. The Democrats, the liberals are if this is the new array where there's a populist Republican Party, they will absolutely become the party of woke capitalism. And in fact, browbeat anyone on the left who criticizes capitalism by saying, you sound like Republicans. You sound like Trump. You sound like Tucker Carlson.
Oh, I've literally, by the way, already, like, seen that. I remember Jacobin writer Megan Day wrote something about the decline of cities, because there's this really good Robert Fitch book, I think, The Assassination of New York City. It's about how, I mean, you'd apply it to most cities, actually, even across the world, about how, like, the fire economies have replaced, manufacturing. And to have, like, a strong working class base in a city, you need manufacturing and you need good working class jobs. It can't just be fucking real estate and finance. And people were like, oh, but what, so you want to bring back the factories? Wow, wonder who you sound like. It's like, no, people liked those jobs, you fucking asshole. They were good jobs.
I mean, I don't know how that's going to work, but I do know that if you seed that territory, and to make all
you at least
criticism
have to respond to it.
Yeah, there has to be a left-wing version of criticizing capitalism that's coherent, or else, yeah, it's going to be a choice for most people between woke capitalism and a chimerical and fraudulent
right populism that claims it's going to fix all this problems with capitalism and bring back all of your beloved hierarchies. And that's going to create a totally racialized politics, even more than we have now.
To back to our original point about it's only Bernie.
Yeah.
I mean, the answer here is like, I know, again, we know for sure that the Center for American Progress and the American Enterprise Institute collaborated to create some phony academic study about how populism equals authoritarianism.
Yeah, well,
And
of
they're
course they
terrified
think
of
that
that.
because they're terrified.
Yeah, they're terrified of that.
People.
And
I mean, ultimately too, I realize when as this kind of presidential ramp up is happening, I'm realizing the bigger political differences I have with people have to do with whether or not you are contemptuous for people in general or not. It's like whether you think that they are capable of self-government and sort of basic democracy, and whether you think they're deserving of very basic social democratic securities or not. That's kind of it. Like, from there, you can have the argument. But there are so many liberals who are not even willing to have that argument because fundamentally, they're more invested than their kind of fantasy of what these institutions how they should behave and how they should operate than they are in any kind of fantasy in kind of a harmonious, democratic, basic, humane governmental system.
I mean, I just think like the bottom line is, again, even for people who are pragmatists, who just, the people who are like, I just want the nightmare to be over. I just want a Democrat in the White
it's
House.
your lucky day. It's
like,
your lucky day.
Here's the thing, like, you better get comfortable with populism because guess what? It's the only game in town now. And if you're not fucking going to get on board with it, guess who is?
Yeah.
It's fucking Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
And like, these like almost pseudo-fascist,
Yeah.
I mean, not even almost.
It's got a touch. It's
But
got a
yeah.
little touch of the fashion.
The next time because just imagine the next time there's a serious financial crash and the person in office is, the brain power is the fuel of the economy person.
Oh my God.
And all they have to answer with is another bailout and more fucking vouchers for community college classes in HVAC
Free
repair.
Panera sandwiches for everyone.
And like we've created a nanobot that we can unleash into the water system, and when you drink it, you know how to code, like something like that. If that's the alternative to some rampaging, hooting fascism that says we need to bring these malefactors of great wealth, as FDR used to call them, into heel, and along with that, smuggle in a ton of horrifying revanchist racial and gender concepts, you're going to find that those things that are so appealing on television and make you feel so good to represent these values are really thin on the ground because they don't help people not starve.
I mean, again, back to Julian Castro. You're running for president. You want to grab people. How about everyone deserves to have health care?
People like that shit.
It's
very inspiring and practical.
Stop talking about the AI or whatever Common. Calm down.
He's gonna be our first.
He apparently is saying
First
Medicare for all, and that is
backpack
interesting because it is now. But the problem is, this is where the rubber really hits the road. For the long time, the question was making that first something that wasn't met with instinctive revulsion, like when Hillary Clinton spit blood and foam and adrenochrome out of her mouth when she even heard the phrase and said, "It's never ever happening." And in 2 years, that has been metabolized into the Democratic Party. So you have a lot of these people who are in any other way, sort of Obama-era Democrats saying Medicare for all. So this is where what that means now becomes the real terrain of argument. What is Medicare for all? Is it a slogan, or does it mean a genuine decommodification of healthcare? And that is where the specific plans actually come into meaning something. Because if a guy like Brain Juice Castro can say Medicare for all, you have to wonder what he means by that, and it has to be spelled out.
Yeah, Bernie has an actual bill and has supported other bills previously that have like actual concrete policy prescriptions to them. What we're going to see, and what we have already seen, is a lot of talk about affordability.
Yeah.
And accessibility.
Accessibility.
And it's like, suck my dick. Watch for those words because they are bullshit. They are a trick. You know exactly what you're getting with Bernie.
You're right. That is a good shorthand to look for those buzzwords or those qualifiers. Access is my favorite one.
Yeah, access. The fuck does that
Everyone
mean?
has to have. We want everyone to have access to health insurance.
Everybody in America has access to La Bernardin or that one place,
Prune.
Le Cirque, the place in Chicago where they give you like a fucking whipped cream enema, whatever. The fuck.
I don't know. I'm not aware of that.
Alinea, whatever
Yeah.
it is. Yeah. But you have to pay for it.
Yeah.
You can walk in the door, but you have to be able
They
to fucking
can't
pay
keep
for
you
it.
out.
Yeah.
But they can say, "Do you have the money for
Exactly.
this?" Or
It's like, no,
also, you need to be wearing shoes.
I'd just like to take a whiff. Could I just smell the kitchen for a minute?
God.
Here's another bit of economic populism to talk about. This is I guess sort of like politics adjacent, but the other news and sort of gossip item everyone was talking about last week was the Jeff Bezos divorce. I saw a lot of people fascinated with this.
That dude risked it all.
Yeah. Matt, do you actually know like what are the specifics of this? Who do you get horny for?
He got
And first of
horny
all,
for-
can we stop shaming as Felix said? Can we stop? Felix isn't here, so I need to pipe up on his behalf.
You know, pipe up for those who pipe down.
Yeah. I saw a lot of people out there shaming Jeff Bezos for being a sexual being.
Because he took he said, "Hey, alive girl," and he said, "I'm going to see you, and you're going to see me and my eyes and my body."
Okay. Now,
Her name is
obviously that's
Lorna Sanchez.
Okay. Well, here's an interesting question. This goes back to Matt. You and I, our friend, former Governor Mark Sanford.
Yeah.
You know, his political career was ruined by him having, feeling effusively romantic, and hiking the Appalachian Trail and being sort of gooey and romantic.
Just loving too much.
Obviously, anyone's private, text messages to a lover of any kind being leaked is like, a nightmare. But is it more embarrassing to be like Jeff Bezos and like be like, I want our eyes to meet and do the crossword puzzle holding you in my arms? Or is it more embarrassing to just be like, sup, dick on hard, you horny? You try? Is it to J.R. Smith, the classic and still the gold standard? You trying to get the pipe? What is more embarrassing? Is it to be like slightly corny but romantic and effusively loving, or just like just purely horny?
There's no good way to be horny.
I think that's probably true.
Yeah.
In the cold light of day. I mean, in context, any kind of horny is acceptable depending on the person who's receiving it and the circumstance. But
we're
once
not
you throw
talking
the
about
floodlight on,
Mutualism.
none of it is good.
We're talking about spectators.
Yeah, no. As soon as someone's looking, as soon
No one
as the
should
fluorescents
see.
are flashing on it, it's not
It's
good.
called Schrodinger's pussy.
Yeah.
It exists in a
dry or
perfect
wet?
state between
Yeah.
like embarrassing or nice, but once you observe it, it becomes humiliating.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also feel like
yeah.
one of the good things about living in New York is that like we know that, and one of my first vivid memories about like living in New York was getting out of like the I was coming up, and there were two people in passionate embrace at the top of the stairs, and I drunkenly screamed, "This isn't fucking Paris." And like 3 different people went, "That's right!" Because that's how hide your love. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. No one wants to see it. And they especially don't want to see it when your net worth is like larger than a small country's GDP.
Larger than most large sized countries.
Yeah,
GDP.
true. Yeah.
Like, well, I mean that is I think why people are fascinated by this conscious uncoupling.
Hey, don't you have the dignity to hide your horny shame? And also like,
Well, no,
you
no one
understand
really does.
the internet, like everything, like you don't do anything on the internet. Everyone's going to see it.
That's the thing. It's like Bezos. You could read any of our emails right now. Someone's eventually going to see this, but maybe that's the hubris of.
Well, because
of
no
being in that
one
position.
thinks it's going to happen to them, but people are fascinated by this because it's the same reason people are fascinated by the New York Times wedding column, the wedding announcement stuff, is that they love fantasizing about, as David Brooks once said, the commingling of bank accounts and SAT scores.
They love also fantasizing about divorcing Jeff Bezos.
And divorcing,
yeah.
exactly. Because this is even more powerful than that because, in Washington State,
Community
it's
property
it's a
state.
50-50, and she's overnight going to become the richest woman in the world.
Boom.
So what, like $60
Yeah.
billion
Yeah,
or
something
something
like
like that?
Yeah.
And I was just
Jesus
thinking, like,
Christ.
before we get into the ethical question of does she deserve it?
It's the most lucrative dick
Yeah,
she ever threw away. That's great.
But just what would you do with $60 billion?
My heart would explode. Like
Well, from all
I
the
would
drugs,
just
or?
drink it. Yeah, like week 2 too. I would not last. It's actually like I don't know how you could remain sane.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Get me
Like,
the coke that
people
killed
shouldn't
Belushi.
Have
No, you would have to give it all away immediately,
Yeah.
like Brewster's Million style.
Yeah.
Like do a contest. If different people come to you with different ideas, and like
Shark Tank?
Yeah, exactly, but for good, as
Mhm.
opposed to like a machine that jerks you off while you're watching sports or whatever the hell. I've never watched that show.
I'm buying. I'm buying in on that. Mark Cuban, Dallas Mavericks. See, I thought if I had $60 billion, it's just like, yeah, you could be your own government, basically. And what I would do,
I mean, they are.
is I would create.
He is his own government.
I would create, and I'm sure rich people already have versions of this, but I would create like on some like oil derrick and like or some like oil platform in international waters, sort of like Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah.
I would create my own private anti-CIA as sort of like a good intelligence and mercenary force.
So you would make the QAnon thing real. Like
Yeah.
you'd create a white hat intelligence
Yes.
department to fight the black hats.
Yeah, kind of.
That's
But
cool.
I would use it to like basically just do like ops and compromat, and not like
You just want to make
assassinate
spy
anyone.
versus spy comics real.
Not like not like assassinations or anything like that. But like
Something in
just
your eye
just
there.
embarrass and people I don't like.
That would be cool. And
The
having
vindictiveness would be very.
Or
Or like,
NSA,
like the
like
Terry
a-
Southern's Magic Christian, just to do like insanely
yeah.
elaborate pranks on people I hate.
I mean, you'd probably get a lot of value if you just did what WikiLeaks did before Julian Assange went nuts in the cupboard, and create a independent NSA and just hack the fuck out of everything.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And
Like
get all that
just steal
stuff
everyone's
out of it.
private shit,
Yeah.
dump it all out
Yeah.
there, and see how long it would take before they just like shot a missile at the
Goldman
fucking
Sachs
yeah.
out there, Bank of America, HSBC, fucking the Pentagon. All
I would
of it.
create also create like fake conservative think tanks and just try to lure all the people we've done reading series into some sort of like plush, like corporate, offer them like, hey, here's $30,000 to come talk about, excellence in business and America's founding fathers,
the founding values.
the
that made this
founding
country
values
great.
of thrift and diligence or whatever, but then do like a Magic Christian thing where like everyone else in attendance is like the dregs of Arkham Asylum or something like
Right.
that on a cruise ship so they can't leave.
I was thinking on a cruise ship and you just park it next to Somalia and wait.
No, I would try to do like Bane type shit. I would try to create my own nuclear weapon because that would be honestly that's your hedge against the drone strikes happening.
That's true because
Right.
they would kill you.
They would for sure kill
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
So I would try to fuck buying. With $60 billion, I'm creating my own nuclear program.
Yeah.
I'm doing it in secret. I'm doing it like miles underground, like Iran does. So you
Iran, yeah.
can't be bombed.
Yeah.
I'm creating a nuke. I'm putting it on a dead man switch to my heartbeat.
Like Martin Sheen and Spawn.
Yeah. And from there, we can start having some real fun.
Oh my God, yeah. Damn, let's do it. You just gotta.
I would just
all right, so
OD
that
on
means
week
you have
2.
to seduce MacKenzie Bezos and then divorce her.
There you go.
So that's
Well,
the
then
key.
I'd
But you
only get
have to
$30
do
billion.
it-
That's
so.
still a good
Then you have
start.
to do it in that state too.
Washington.
Yeah.
I
well,
think
no,
New York is also.
Which
anywhere
is the
that's
least
community property.
sexy state.
Yeah.
though.
Anywhere that's community property,
very
and make
plaid
sure there's
state.
no prenup.
Okay, I would also with just
No, you get 30, and then you go to Vegas and put it on black, and then you're back to 60.
That's how it works.
I got a system.
Yeah.
I would also do like indecent proposal stuff to people I hate. I'd be like, here's $1 billion. Let's make it happen. And just make them betray their families and sell their soul to me for laughs. I'm not
Yeah.
even saying I would actually have
God.
sex with their wives. I would
The
just
thing is, like, Will's the nicest one of us, but he
I
has
guess
hidden
not.
darkness.
Now we're finding out.
well,
Yeah.
what when you get money, it opens the abyss in front of you.
Oh, true, yeah.
And into it goes everything.
I forgot about the abyss. Yeah.
Into it just creates. It's just like possibility is also.
Yeah, this is what I mean.
The black hole.
OD on a drug that only billionaires get.
Yes.
Too.
Oh, that's the other thing. I'd immediately get access to the sex and drugs that only rich people know
of
about
course.
and are allowed to have.
Yeah, you get to fuck the gray alien they have in Area 51. that fucking dog star pussy. Holy shit. It's off the chain.
Or like Ozymandias, maybe stage a fake alien attack and use it to do world peace.
Mm-hmm.
I would, inspired by your idea of creating the white hat intelligence department, I would get to the bottom of Pizzagate. I would.
Someone needs to.
I mean, not the fake one, but like I would like put a team, like real hitters on
Nick
like
Mullen.
Epstein and those guys, and I would follow them until they revealed their secrets, and like I would tap their phones and I would hack all of their private communications. I would get, because you know who they are.
Yeah.
You know who goes.
And the
everyone on
world
that
is
plane,
ruled by wealthy pedophiles.
right?
That
Everyone
part
on
is
that
true.
plane gets the full investigative treatment, 24-hour surveillance, total penetration of their communications.
There's a word.
And until it's all revealed, and then you just you put it out there. Of course, it probably wouldn't matter. That's what we've realized at this point. But that's when the private drone army comes in.
Well, this is sort of turning into
Donald Trump.
a self-care, self-harm episode of the show, and I think now would be an appropriate time to check in on one of our favorite characters and simply ask ourselves, is David Brooks okay?
Yeah, what's going
what's
on,
he up
Dave?
to?
What's going on
Like,
with
what's
you?
up with his feelings?
I hear that David Brooks has terminal imposter syndrome. Prayers up.
I hear he's in his feelings, whatever that means.
Yeah, no, David Brooks continues to have feelings and share them with the world. And on the occasion of the publication of his next best-selling book called The Second Mountain, there has been
it's about tits. Real mature, David.
there's been an avalanche of profiles of him about his supposed flirtations with becoming a Christian, moving from being Jewish to Christian, and his new bride,
His child bride.
his child bride, who is a very serious evangelical Christian herself.
You met an evangelical Christian at Yale? David, you are the magic man.
No, that we've fans of the show will remember we've checked in on this storyline before. He met her when he was his research assistant on his last book called The Road to Character, which is about how to live a moral and virtuous life.
Yeah.
Well, most guys
I almost said wife.
most guys have to take the road to character to find the clit.
So his new book is called The Second Mountain, and this has come out after his second marriage. And he's in a new stage in his life. He's feeling things that he hasn't felt in a long time because he's been imbued by the love of a much younger woman. I'm just going to read here from the jacket copy for The Second Mountain to give you just sort of an idea of where his headspace is at before we go into some of these profiles of him. Every so often, you meet people who radiate joy. Their names are Jacob Wall and Jack Berman. No, every so often you meet people who radiate joy, who seem to know why they were put on this earth, who glow with a kind of inner life. Life, for these people, has often followed what we might think of as a two-mountain shape. They get out of school, they start a career, and they begin climbing the mountain they thought they were meant to climb. Their goals on this first mountain are the ones our culture endorses: to be a success, to make your mark, to experience personal happiness. But when they get to the top of that mountain, something happens. They look around and find the view unsatisfying. They realize this wasn't my mountain after all. There's another, bigger mountain out there that is actually my mountain. So in case you were wondering, is there a New York Times columnist capable of basing a book on a more fatuous metaphor than even Thomas Friedman? Your answer is yes. And it's David Brooks and his Second Mountain, which he's using to describe some sort of midlife crisis when you're like, I'm David Brooks. I know all the right people. I'm friends with all the smartest people. But for some reason, there's an emptiness inside of me that is just unquenchable.
I
Because
don't want to fuck my wife anymore.
yeah.
That's what it boils down to. I'm bored of that pussy. I want an upgrade. That's it.
In this book, this book is meant to help us all lead more meaningful lives but it's also provocative social commentary. We live in a society, Brooks argues, that celebrates freedom.
Gamers rise up.
That tells us to be true to ourselves at the expense of surrendering to a cause, rooting ourselves in a neighborhood, binding ourselves to other by social solidarity and love. We have taken individualism to the extreme, and in the process, we have torn the social fabric in 1,000 different ways. The path to repair is through making deeper commitments. In The Second Mountain, Brooks shows what can happen when we put commitment making at the center of our lives.
You mean after decommitting?
Yeah, well, yeah, obviously.
To the marriage that you
sometimes like you realize when you get
whole life.
to the top of the second mountain, you actually realize it's a mountain on the bottom of the ocean, and you're there because there's some sort of anchor tied around your neck that's dragged you to the bottom, and now hagfish are consuming your bloated, pale corpse. But there is a way out to the mountain and the surface. If only you get rid of that first anchor and find a second anchor that's actually a balloon that will take you to the top, and you will see everything. Okay, so like I said, this has inspired a number of profiles of David and his sort of, I guess you could say, religious and emotional questioning at this point in his life, because I think, a lot of the people who read the New York Times and the Washington Post sort of identify with this type of character. So this is the first one in New York Magazine. Let's start here. It says, it was 2013, and David Brooks was in the wilderness. Not the literal desert or jungle or anything like that, but the emotional wilderness of an accomplished man who, in midlife, has discovered a deep emptiness at his core.
Horniness. He's horny.
I like it took David Brooks this long to realize that he's an utterly empty person.
Yeah. He wrote a whole
all
book,
those years writing
years
for
ago about the goal for life is to have a patio. He talked about patio.
Oh, we'll get into the patio man. They come back.
David Brooks is kind of like, he's like a reverse Xer. Like he starts out, like when he was younger, he starts out being like, yeah, all you need is a patio, a Lexus. You go to the farmer's market, listen to jazz done by like 47-year-old white guys named Keith.
But how could you not know, oh, this is absolutely empty and vapid and will only lead to hollowness?
I don't know. You'd think that his years of writing for the Weekly Standard might have given him a clue that he was just basically hollow inside. But, but when again, your marriage of 27 years, when it falls apart, the genteel conservatism in which he was nurtured and raised was morphing into something craven, naked, and raw. Lonely and living alone in an apartment in Washington, D.C., Brooks, 52 at the time, took stock and saw that in his rise to the pinnacle of American punditry, he had failed to make or keep meaningful friendships. And what was happening to him, Brooks writes in his new book, The Second Mountain, was happening on a nationwide scale. The crisis in our politics is created by the crisis in our sociology and in our relationships and in our morals, he told me, looking preppy, eager, and somewhat slighter than I'd imagined as we sat drinking coffee at a chain restaurant near Carnegie Hall. I love that he extrapolates this out, that like this personal feeling of emptiness that I have inside as being just a sold out fucking shell who, let's be honest, if you rise to the top of American punditry, you're either a sociopath or essentially empty as a person without, value, morality, or friends.
Yes.
Right? So he's like, yeah, could it be that what I'm feeling is actually a crisis that our entire country is experiencing right now? It's like, no, most people are just stressed out because they like don't have access to, a doctor.
Yeah, right.
Or their job is like literally killing them every fucking day.
Also, I'm confused. So, according to David Brooks, throughout his career, he has said that, you don't need to redistribute wealth to make people have more stable lives. They just need to have better values, because if you get married, that'll make your life more stable and you'll thrive. Shouldn't he, as soon as he got divorced, have instantly like lost everything and become a fucking hobo? I mean, like that. His whole argument, the argument of social conservatism, is that they switch it and say that that like marital and relationship instability is the cause of economic struggle, not the other way around. So he should have become instantly homeless, like fucking Mel Brooks in Life Stinks. What the hell happened? He kept all of his money. I don't get it.
Well, what happened?
Half of it anyway.
What happened was David Brooks.
Still a shitload of money.
Yeah, seriously.
Well, what happened was David Brooks. There was a situation similar to the movie Antichrist with him and his wife, and they're both their most prized product of their Bose home stereo fell out of a window, and they had just raw primalistic sex, an over the pants hand job while watching Ken Burns. And really, you can't go back to your marriage after that.
They're walking through some sort of like the midden of a dark forest, and they just like peer under a shrub, and there's just like some blood-soaked little fox fetus that just stares up and looks at him and goes, "We're experiencing a crisis of morals in our society." Oh, pain, grief, and despair. That is the David Brooks oeuvre, the three beggars. So he goes, just continuing here, he says, but
did you know that they actually had to use a prosthetic dick for David Brooks too? Packing. It was like too big, it was distracting. That's why New York Times pivoted away from video. David Brooks' huge cock was like too distracting for people.
So yeah, he's in a funk, but it says, but Brooks picked himself up. He landed a gig. Where else? Yale. Teaching a class about what else? Humility, with a syllabus including works by Edmund Burke, Reinhold Niebuhr, and himself.
Nothing better than having a fucking course on humility where you fucking assign your own goddamn book.
His emotionally arid existence bloomed again thanks to the loving presence of a woman, Anne Schneider, his researcher at the New York Times and 23 years his junior. After years of chaste but charged email exchanges on subjects such as Dorothy Day and St. Augustine, Snyder agreed to go on a date with Brooks in 2016. They married in 2017.
That's some modern Abelard and Hillary shit right there.
I would love to see their sex. What are you wearing right now? I'm wearing Gant, pleated khakis, barber quilted English hunting coat. Seven layers of collared shirts.
That's her.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, I'd love to put a fucking scarf on you. You make me so fucking hard. Just imagining going to a book fair with you. I would love to swap out your bookmark and replace it with mine. Hey, you fucking like that?
Did you know that St. Augustine himself was horny at one time or another?
No, Confessions is a great book. I mean, I don't like that he stole the title from Usher, but because he just fucks nonstop. But the thing where he thinks he's like furthest from God is when he steals pears.
When he steals pears, yeah. That was in the Rosie Gray piece, actually.
Yeah. Katie McHugh read the pear stealing thing, and she was like, "Yeah, this is like watching a guy try to throw a log." Behind a strip mall. It's the same shit. But Augustine
fucked. He was a Zen Star pimp.
I'm just imagining Brooks setting up their first fuck session at like a Wyndham, like Matthew Broderick and Election.
And they would be greeted by the Wyndham Wizard.
The Wyndham Wizard was there. He'll watch you fuck.
Torben Giantsman was like, "Welcome, David Brooks, to your first post-marriage sexual assignation." The Wyndham pervert.
This is
wait. There's more about David Brooks fucking. I need to get to.
Hell yes. This is what I'm about. I'm fixing the nut right now.
Blah blah blah. They married. The second mountain purports to describe hyper individualism. Blah 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 blah. It would not be hyperbole to say that it is also, both explicitly and between the lines, a gushing pan to romance.
All right.
It's a gushing pan.
It's a squirting pan
to romance. That's Pete.
Joe Dirt, I got the pan on me.
A gushing pan to romance from a gobsmacked man happily rediscovering sex. As such, it is full of cringe-worthy aphorisms.
Oh boy!
Love, writes Brooks, plows open the hard crust of our personality and exposes the fertile soil below.
I love thinking about this. I absolutely think of David Brooks taking the crust off his dick.
He's on a fucking he's on one of those tucked in hotel beds. They haven't even taken the sheets off, and he's got the sock garters on and just going to town on a person.
I love the idea of David Brooks taking his dick out of his khakis and it talks to him like like the bullets in Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Hey, taking us out for a spin again, huh, boss?
Oh my god!
His dick has the same wireframe glasses.
shit. Fuck, I'm not going to be able to think of anything other than that for the rest of my life.
Oh, I'm gonna be.
Isn't one of the bullets like a prospector?
Yes.
Let's go. You're like, we're going into her gulch, the environment.
There's gold in that our second mountain.
All right, well, that's it for this episode.
Oh, God damn it.
Go.
Oh,
Right,
man.
a few more here. This is again the details about their love of Augustine and Dorothy Day are repeated in the Washington Post, New York Magazine, and the New Yorker. It's just like, why do we need 3 people to write these articles?
There is so much coverage of this guy fucking.
Yeah.
He must be amazing at it.
Also, I love that
like every time he fucks, it's like every time Guaido talks. Like there's just like 75 international agencies that are like, who came first, David?
I love that it's always the same. They're always impressed. Ooh, their relationship is so rich and cultured. Doris Day and St. Augustine. It's just those are just that. Give me a third, at least one more name for Christ's sake.
Yeah, I mean Doris Day was funny.
Give me a third. That's what David Brooks will be selling to young Anne about a year and a half or so into this next marriage.
I mean Doris Day was funny, but how much can you talk about her?
Yeah, seriously.
All right, this is from the New Yorker profile of this exact same subject.
Holy
An
shit.
old depressed man getting laid again.
How much? Oh my God! This is like if there was international coverage of Kirk Van Houten. Like this is amazing. There's how many? Like, think of all the man hours dedicated to asking this guy about what it's like to fuck as a middle-aged man.
Well, that's the thing. They're doing it because, like with the people sympathetic to the Nazi lady who wants to get back into the media, these people are all him and relating. They highly relate to getting horny and middle-aged wanting to fuck a younger woman.
All right, this is great. So they're describing a sort of a road to Damascus moment for David Brooks here. One morning, passing through Penn Station at rush hour, Brooks was overcome by the feeling that he was moving in a sea of souls. Not the hair and legs and sneakers, but the moral part. It was like suddenly everything was illuminated, and I became aware of an infinite depth on each of these thousands of people. They were living souls.
In
Brooks.
Penn Station,
In
David?
Penn Station, I've never had that feeling.
Yeah, in Penn Station, you're just constantly like, it's just guys coming back from their weekend house in Connecticut trying to cut you in line to get a watery latte. It's probably one of the most soulless places.
Oh God,
I've ever
it's like
been in my
when you're
fucking
there,
life.
all you feel is meat. Like everyone is meat.
Well, no, actually, I feel like Dwayne Hoover in Breakfast of Champions, in which I'm convinced that everyone else is a robot and I'm the only real person. And they don't matter. They're not real. So the fact that he's having this religious experience in Penn Station, which honestly, if you haven't been there, is the most miserable place in the world.
Subterranean shithole.
This is literally like if Christ appeared to you in the M&M store. Like,
But the funny thing is, I could imagine having a similar feeling walking into the huge vaulted ceiling of Grand Central Station and having
or the original Penn Station.
Or the original, yeah, you could having that kind of grandeur of just seeing lives going on and people hustling about. But that's not the interesting thing about this. So he goes, I had for the first time felt an infinite depth on each of these thousands of people. They were living souls, Brooks writes in his book, The Second Mountain. Suddenly it seemed like the most vivid part of reality was this. Souls waking up in the morning, souls riding the train to work, souls yearning for goodness, souls wounded by earlier traumas. With that came a feeling that I was connected by radio waves to all of them, some underlying soul of which we were all a piece. Okay.
this is like
Okay, wait, let me just finish. Like, if you had done LSD in high school, like every other normal person, you would have had this elementary moral breakthrough in your teenage years.
Yeah.
But he's so horny, his brain is releasing like DMT while he's walking through Penn Stations looking for like an Auntie Annie's pretzels or something. Auntie Anne's or whatever. He's like, wait a second. All these other people, they have their own inner lives, thoughts, and feelings. And it's sort of like the experience of being alive in the universe is like we're connected in some way.
Damn, that pussy must be great.
He is such a fucking
Holy shit.
bimbo.
No, he is one of the just vapid. He has never had an interesting insight or thought in his entire life. It's just room temperature fucking water, just sitting in a glass collecting dust for 40 fucking years, and he's a millionaire off it.
Yeah, this is like what an influencer writes about Penn Station. Think about I used to think they were just, feet walking, but those feet are connected to bodies, and those bodies have souls inside of them. Souls live lives.
He is like if Dockers had a column. Like if Dockers had like a personal voice and wrote down newspaper columns.
You brought up earlier his obsession with the patio man.
Yes.
And this is invoked as well. He's talking about his writing during the Bush years, like the Bobos in Paradise thing. That was his first, sort of big book that attempted to, digest the cultural zeitgeist, which essentially mean that like boring people in the suburbs wanted to be seen as cool too.
That's basically it.
That's
Incredible insight.
So he goes here. Brooks sought to explain the conservative mood building in America's outer suburbs by introducing the agreeable composite character of Patio Man, who wanted a society from the mid-20th century and grilling technologies from the 22nd. Okay, first of all, the grilling technologies of the 20th, 21st, and 22nd century, or even dating back to the 10th century, pretty much the same.
Yeah, what the hell does he think's going to happen in the next 100 years for fucking technology for grilling?
Do you see a fucking sign on my patio that says dead value storage?
It goes, Patio Man, he says, this is quoting from the book now. He says, I don't know if you've ever noticed the expression of a man who is about to buy a first-class barbecue grill, Brooks wrote. He walks into a Home Depot or Lowe's, and his eyes are glistening with a faraway zeal, like one of those old prophets gazing into the promised land.
Horseshit.
This is what your brain imagines when you haven't gotten your nut off since the Carter administration.
Absolutely.
The details mount. The citrus tarragon trout fillets that await on his deck, the male friends dressed in Tommy Bahama shirts who are no more than 25 pounds overweight. Brooks imagines Patio Man's unease around immigrants, which helped to nudge him out to the far suburbs, but also the cohesion of the community he built there, one based on an idealized small town, an old-fashioned place out of modern materials whose political ideas are responsibility, respectability, and order. Brooks' characterizations are broad, but his keel is even. I love that in his description of this gentle Patio Man type character, he basically just describes like the nascent stages of American fascism.
Yes. Yeah, it's like this is the social basis for fascism.
Was it responsibility, respectability, and order? Wasn't that the slogan of the Vichy French Party?
Yes, work, family, state, or something like that. Yeah. What was it? Children, church,
Kinderkirche culture or something.
Something like that.
So it says here, one more thing about Patio Man. Patio Man may have been in conservative places for benign reasons, in church on Sundays for the sense of spiritual order, and watching Fox News for the valorization of Navy SEALs. So there you go. That's another thing Patio Man is into, the valorization of our, overseas hit squads.
Exactly. He's a nice guy. He likes his grilled meat, and then he likes to relax by getting vicarious thrills about murdering foreigners. He gets off on it sexually. Normal guy. He just spends all of his day in his obscenely huge house that he absolutely does not need, with all of his bullshit tchotchkes, and just thinks, yeah, I would kill, I'd say, 5 billion people to maintain this lifestyle, and I wouldn't care. Normal, cool dude.
Now, in the Second Mountain, I got to say, he's sort of getting into that Marianne mindset that we've discussed recently on the show. The Second Mountain is about shedding the ego and losing the self, about contribution rather than acquisition, egalitarianism rather than elitism. Brooks writes, the satisfaction of Second Mountain people is deeper. It is indeed a bigger
Second Mountain
people. It's deeper because it's a bigger mountain. In case you didn't realize, the Second Mountain is a bigger mountain than the First Mountain. So you may think you're on top of the Second Mountain, but oh my God, you have not reached the summit yet.
It's also a tighter mountain.
So it goes here. It leads not to happiness, but to joy. The more Brooks works that describe the joy of Second Mountain people, the more, frankly, sexual it sounds. It's when the skin barrier between you and some other person or entity fades away and you feel fused together, Brooks writes. In his introduction, Brooks quotes a Christian academic named Belden Lane, who wrote in a spiritual memoir, Backpacking with the Saints, whenever I plunge into the wilderness, my body and the environment move in and out of each other in an intimate pattern of exchange. In the margin, I wrote, Brooks, is this book about humping?
Seriously, that is the bombest pussy on earth. Jesus Christ.
Was the fucking Backpacking with the Saints guy, was he Mr. Hands?
This honestly feels like his first wife never actually had sex with him and he didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
Like he
You
thought
guys
like
remember-
humping a couch cushion was sex, and now this woman actually has sex with him, and his mind has been blown.
Well, they have
He was
kids
just, like-
together, so I mean, assumably they've had intercourse. But you remember the funny thing about David Brooks' first marriage is that his first wife, converted to Judaism for David Brooks, but in the process of converting to Judaism, legally changed her first name from Jane to Sarah, which is a more biblically, sort of more traditionally Jewish name. Now, how do you think she feels that he's left her and is now in the process of converting to Christianity and has said, I'm on the fence about whether Christ was actually the Messiah or Son of God. And I think we know which way he's going to land on that question.
I mean, there was another great wise king who his only error was abandoning the covenant with God out of horniness. And Brooks and Solomon, one and the same, equally as wise.
It's such a perfect example of how politics boils down in a large part to sexual pathology. I just wish he would admit it.
I do think there is some desire. I think maybe the funniest sequence in Curb Your Enthusiasm is the episode where Larry thinks he's a Gentile. Do you remember that?
I remember that one.
Yeah, and he drinks beer watching sports at a bar and drinks milk with his food. Goes fishing, and I think there may be a little bit of that. I do this is a midlife crisis thing, but because he's a fundamentally boring person, it's not he's not gonna. Do you remember Aubrey McClendon?
Who's that again?
He was a Oklahoma natural gas magnate.
Oh yeah, is that the guy who fucking killed himself?
And he
in
just
his car?
embezzled millions and then killed himself by driving his Ferrari full speed into a brick wall.
Yeah.
Just awesome. Just fucking awesome. Piece of shit as a guy, but if you're gonna you're just I've done everything, my life's pointless, what can I do? Fucking sick.
Yeah.
David Brooks isn't gonna do that.
No,
But the exciting thing, there is someone once said, I forget whose quote this is, but basically the concept of the Jew in modern literature is that they know they're an outsider, but they're not an outsider to anyone else, but it drives them insane. And I don't think that really applies to Jews in America anymore. It's just especially in the spaces that David Brooks is in, it's just full of assimilation. But if you're a fundamentally boring person and you've lived your life and stated these values and lived them or tried to live them, and your life just you have the same gnawing feeling, and you don't necessarily want to kill yourself, but you would like to be passively murdered so you don't have to be alive anymore. Your exciting thing is Gentiles seem pretty happy.
Yeah, I know.
I really think that's it.
He's just jumping ship to something that he thinks will work. But it's guess what? All those patio men in the Deep South are fucking miserable.
Yeah, the only happy people in America are the guys who wear Thanos flat brims.
Yes, and Mormons. And if
Mormons.
he really wants to go, he should go full hog, go Mormon. Don't dick around with evangelicalism. Go the next level.
That's the third mountain.
That's the third mountain is Mormonism. Think about how fun that is, though. You're hanging around in your finished basement with your buddies selling MLM products back and forth. You got six kids with a combined 15 Y's in their names. It's awesome.
Yeah, and you know what? That's not the third mountain. Judaism, Christianity, those are mountains. Mormonism is a fucking planet.
Yeah, it is. It's its own planet.
Third rock from the sun.
They are so I feel in the future, America, after the climate / nuclear holocaust, when we're rebuilt by Thanos, flat brim Ohio guys, and Mormons, it'll be a bipolar nation, just two powers in the nation. It will be Youngstown and then Utah.
Yeah.
But
Youngstown and Salt Lake.
We will eventually achieve utopia.
Absolutely.
With a synthesis between the two.
There will be no more imposter syndrome. There will be no more anxiety.
Yeah. There's no cat person sexual encounters.
Nope.
You meet a woman. The two ways to engage in courtship are you meet a woman, you shake her hand, and then you get married, and you have 17 children named Ephiamachus or fucking whatever. Or, you and a woman send each other Anchorman memes until you just fucking have couch sex.
Yep.
And become Harley Quinn and the Joker together. You do that cosplay.
Yeah.
And your kids are named fucking Catwoman and Thanos. And those are the two ways to live your life. And eventually, the two kingdoms will merge.
It'll be a dynastic marriage.
No more alcohol, but it's okay to do opiates.
Yeah.
You can drink carbonated beverage. The only caffeinated carbonated beverages you can have are energy drinks, no Coke.
Yeah.
That just gets you fat. You can drink Bang though. Like that's true spiritual
It's
progression.
true because this guy, this route, this like bored rich guy thing, it really does. It's all like he's fucked up. This is not going to work. Like, let's check in on him in another
this
year.
is going to end in so many tears.
The only one who knew how to do this was Yukio Mishima. He knew how to handle that feeling.
Can you imagine what Brooks's Mishima coup? He's going to want to try to install like the ghost of Jack Kemp as president. Like, that's going to suck. How would he? What's even his equivalent of seppuku? Like he tries to fucking decapitate himself with a Roomba. Like, that's going nowhere. This is ending in tears. You know, we need. You know, honestly, I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, how come the New York Times publishes these guys but no lefties? I don't give a shit about the New York Times op-ed page, but I do think these guys are boring. And if you just made a deal where you replace all these boring, like, never Trump conservatives / centrists with Mormons, I would accept that 100%.
Right. Well, I'm not going to read any more Brett because I don't want to give Felix a stroke. That was, I think, the most animated you've been on this show in a while. That was
fucking hate him.
Not
so
since
much.
Meghan McCain's book. I
got scared actually. For a little bit.
He sucked so much fucking shit.
All right, let's do David Brooks then, because at least he's horny.
I like David. I honestly like.
No,
David.
the way that he is getting loose, getting nutty with it in his later years here, the way that he's having a public like midlife crisis. I mean, his columns are basically the literary equivalent of getting a Camaro or something. It rules.
I like David Brooks as a person a billion times more than Brett, even though they're probably like equally bad people. But like Brett Stevens is like too much of a stuffed shirt to be like, I've rediscovered sex. Like David in some ways like feels bad about himself and his career.
He does in a way.
Yeah.
In a weird way, he does. I mean, it's not going to stop him, but. I can sense in Brooks's writing a kind of shame.
And it's fast. You're watching something really fascinating unfold in all of his columns because you see him working through crises and self-awareness and reflection, and then it hitting up against his material interests and then crashing back down and being like, well, I can't actually go any farther because that would confront, like, that's too much of a foundational thing to my disgusting tick-like existence, so I have to ignore it or rationalize it away. But that's fascinating. You're watching someone's brain sort of overheat.
I forget who said it, but I saw someone on Twitter describe David Brooks as like a parking lot for ideas. They go in and come out, but nothing lives there. And I think that's perfect.
Yes.
The only thing I would add to it, though, is that Brooks is like a parking lot that's aware of itself and aware that it like bulldozed like a cathedral to be built. And it has some sense in its sort of concrete pillars that this is not
it's
right.
a haunted parking lot.
Yeah.
It remembers the paradise that was paved over.
Yes. All right, so this is David Brooks here. Dems, please don't drive me away.
Shut the fuck up, dude.
How about this, David? How about they drive you to the country to live on a nice farm? The dynamic pulling the party leftward. I could never in a million years vote for Donald Trump. Again, I would bet almost anything he did in 2016, but just hasn't told anyone about it. So my question to Democrats is, will there be a candidate I can vote for?
Oh,
No,
You
go
can
fuck
vote
yourself.
for anyone you
can
want,
vote,
David.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can vote for anybody, dude. Vote for your hot young wife. Do it.
Dude, just go in the voting booth and pork. It's awesome. Just leave your cum on the ballot.
I love the psychotic self-obsession to think that anyone on earth would be concerned with who David Brooks votes for.
Well, I mean, like Brett Stevens, what he does is like in a really boring and obvious way, put his own views in the mouths of an imaginary ordinary voter.
Right, yeah.
But like David Brooks doesn't even do that. He's just like, no, me personally.
Yes.
Like,
Again,
I mean, like,
he's a more honest guy.
Yes, exactly.
I like him more.
I mean,
it's like with Brett Stevens, like, you got a fucking mouse in your pocket. Shut the fuck up. You speak for no one. But David Brooks, he doesn't deign to pretend.
There's nothing more painful than Brett Stevens pretending what he thinks like pretending he knows what a normal person is like.
Yeah.
But David Brooks literally meets normal people, and he's like, well, look at that. They're too stupid to know what oregano is. It's awesome.
no, like, yeah, like Stevens has never done in a column even pretended to like I interacted with a cab driver or like a normal person or anything like that.
I think
Brett Stevens goes everywhere in a rickshaw.
No, Brett Stevens, like he usually when he's photographed, he's standing, gives you the appearance, but actually he goes everywhere in a radio flyer wagon that's being toted behind Sheldon Adelson's little scooter. By the way, did you see these photos of Sheldon Adelson recently?
Drip or die.
Oh my
touring
God.
around in that little fucking hovercraft or whatever he's on.
They took him into a tunnel underneath a Palestinian neighborhood in the East Jerusalem where they're destroying the walls of this thing so that they can expand some fucking illegal settlement. And they got him there in his scooter with a fucking sledgehammer, and they're holding his hand while he smashes down the fucking bricks like Grandpa Sawyer at the end of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's the exact same sequence.
The prophet of mercy.
Yeah, no, Felix, you're exactly
Yeah.
right. He is like Sheldon Adelson is going to give $10 billion to the arbiter to go to war with Iran.
Yeah. No, yeah. Who's the arbiter? It would have to be Ehud Barak, because he's a disgraced member of the covenant.
And I was just looking at that picture of this mummy basically being kept alive through entirely artificial means.
Dark-
that is unholy.
It's unholy. I mean, like he should not be alive. And like that's not no cap, no violence, no threats of violence. I'm just saying it's like
It's unnatural.
It's unnatural to like look at him and be like, oh wait, there is still some metabolic process animating
It
this
is an unnatural
figure.
life. He should honestly, to really lean into it, he should get rid of that disgusting wig that he wears, and he should get that hair, the butt that Gary Oldman had as old Dracula in the fucking Coppola movie. Just lean into it, man. You are brought to life by eldritch means. You should not exist.
And I was just looking at that picture of him, and I was just thinking about like all the billions of dollars he spends, and like all the fucking people that are gonna die for this asshole if he gets his way. And it's just like can't do anything about it. This is the country we live in. Like
Monstrous.
This fucking mummy is just going to get millions of people killed, and he's probably going to die in like a month or two. I mean, he's never going to. Just like all the shit he does is just we're totally powerless.
I love the idea. Yeah, you see this fucking like earthworm husk, just this fucking snake skin with slightly moving eyes.
Oh God, yes.
In a like little covenant prophet. Little hovercraft, like
hover
just
chair,
fucking kicking this family out, and he's spending billions of dollars on it. A guy named like Itam is holding his hand so they can pretend like this fucking guy who just is kept alive through the most unholy of unholy means is physically knocking this down. And you're looking at this and you're like, yeah, this is what God wants.
By the way,
God likes this. I'm making God happy.
By the way, Brett Stevens was once on stage at a synagogue in New York City at some big sponsored event from I forget, probably some institution that he works for as a fellow for, where they interviewed Sheldon Adelson on stage. And Sheldon Adelson said on stage, we should preemptively nuke Iran. And they said, like, well, wouldn't that be like a massive war crime? Or of course, Brett Stevens didn't say that. He clammed up real fucking quick. He didn't say shit. And Adelson said, we'll just bomb the desert as a warning. No one lives there.
Oh my God. Oh, what a great country.
There's nothing like
Stevens sat
there's
there
nothing
like a
warning
mute.
shot of mass radiation just going into your fucking town.
Stevens sat there like a mute and said nothing because guess what? He agrees with him.
Of course. The only thing that's good about Sheldon Adelson and his horrible influence on politics is that when I want to feel better about how horrible everything is, I just think back to 2016 and I just think of how many sponge baths Ted Cruz gave him. Thinking the whole time, it's worth it. You're going to be president. Getting under the crevices, getting under the tit meat, thinking it's going to be okay. You're going to be president. Going onto those gargoyle talon feet of his, going between each one with the sponge and thinking you're going to be president. This is all going to be fine.
Okay.
And you're taking that fucking.
I mean,
office.
don't you love when you're giving Sheldon Adelson a bath and it like make sort of an oval between your index finger and your thumb. A flake of skin that size comes off, and his wife looks at you. And without saying anything, you know that she wants you to eat it like a chip.
Just the moment when you're spit shining a mole the size of a hubcap and thinking about being president.
I love when you're
retracing-
watching his big mole and you scrub hard enough that you see eyes and a mouth come out, and it looks at you and it says Jerusalem is the capital.
When you're tracing Orion's belt on the moles and goiters on his back. Hey, you know those spas where like you can dip your feet in like a pond where like these little fish eat away all the dead skin on your feet?
Yeah.
Ted Cruz literally did that to him.
Nibbled it off.
Oh God. Oh.
Ooh. You
man.
love to think about it,
yeah.
that's for sure.
Basketball shorts were a bad choice for me today. If you guys get what I'm saying.
All right, back to, let's
Take a leak real quick.
That was a little too horny, so let's go back to David Brooks.
We got to dehornify right now.
Well, Felix, can I ask one question? Did these two pieces appear on the Times op-ed page on the same day?
I think it was back to back.
David Brooks
days.
was June 27th. Brett was June 28th.
Back to back.
That is even more journalistic malpractice than the Times op-ed is usually guilty of. And just one David Brooks joke. The second mountain is when David Brooks found the second titty.
He was just looking. He's always seen women in sweaters his entire life, and he was like, "What? There's two of these? I just thought it was a fucking like a fender."
Boing.
David Brooks, Dems, please don't drive me away. So he goes, I could never in a million years vote for Donald Trump. So my question to Democrats is, will there be a candidate I can vote for? According to a recent Gallup poll, 35% of Americans call themselves conservative, 35% call themselves moderate, and 26% call themselves liberal. The candidates at the debates this week fall mostly within the 26%. The party seems to think it can win without any of the 35% of us in the moderate camp, the ones who actually delivered the 28 midterm win. Okay, you see this stat quoted a lot about what percentage of Americans self-identify as liberal, conservative, or moderate. Every time you see it, ball it up, throw it in the fucking trash.
Nothing.
It is a meaningless statistic.
No one knows what their own politics are.
Exactly. Of those 35% of people who are moderate, find out. Guess what? They're in favor of unions. They're in favor of Medicare for all. They're probably against the Iraq War, or the people who are conservative, or liberal. Half of the liberals are probably against unions and for the fucking Iraq War.
Yeah.
Look at things on an issue by issue basis.
Yeah.
To see where people's commitments truly lie.
Yeah, no one has any idea what their own politics are. They just have this weird grab bag of beliefs, and which one is going to actually get them to vote is a mystery even to themselves.
And again, this idea, because everyone's politics are mostly a mystery to themselves and they're mostly inscrutable. Nobody really understands what they believe or have any serious ideological commitments outside, a few areas. Because of that, this is why it's so foolish. If you're following their advice, if you're like a progressive or a Democrat, to follow their advice of this idea that you're going to alienate some mythical moderate voter.
Right.
It's like, no, this is a primary. Go with what you believe in. Why would you stand up for what you believe in and have faith that the candidate that you support, can win the election? Work to make that a reality. Don't fucking amputate your own moral imagination before anyone even casts a fucking vote.
And who doesn't do that? Republicans.
Exactly.
They're not ever asked to do that.
Do you think the conservative movement, like the people at the Federalist Society or Heritage Foundation, do you think that they're unaware of the fact that the vast majority of people in America want abortion to remain legal? Do you think they're unaware of the fact that the vast majority, and by that I mean 70 to 80%, think the wealthy have too much money and influence in our political system? Do you think they're ever bothered for a second by some pang of doubt that we might alienate some moderate voter or, like a Democrat who's maybe on the fence.
Yeah, because the thing they have
a rigorous, ruthless view of the world, and they pursue it
and
without doubt.
And the thing that they have,
I think is almost admirable in a way.
Well, the thing they have that helps them, the thing that sort of makes them have to worry about that less, is because they have all these anti-democratic institutions that aid them, gerrymandered districts, the electoral college. But the flip side of that is that the thing that Democrats would have, if they fucking actually tried to lean into it, is actual popular fucking policies, which could overwhelm those anti-democratic institutions if they were pursued vigorously.
No, but yeah, the people who got Brett Kavanaugh on the Supreme Court, do you think it bothers their conscience that super majorities of American voters want abortion to remain legal and want Roe v. Wade to not be overturned by the court? Do you think they're worried about electoral backlash if they do that? Not for a fucking second. The progressive narrative is dominating in part because progressives these days have a direct and forceful story to tell and no interest in compromising it. It's dominating because no moderate wants to bear the brunt of progressive fury by opposing it. It's also dominating because the driving dynamic in this campaign right now is not who can knock off Joe Biden, the more moderate frontrunner. It's who can survive the intense struggle between Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, and others survive it to be the surviving left-wing alternative. All the energy and competition is on the progressive side. Biden tries to bob and weave above it all, while the whole debate pulls sharply leftward. So if that's the case, and you're saying if all the people who are active engaged are, competing to be the left-wing candidate, then that's democracy, right? Like, why are you sort of sticking your head up for some, illusory?
It's all fraudulent. It's all bullshit. Because, like I said, 2016 happened, and it invalidated everything. And what's more surreal, I think, than watching Trump be president in the last 2.5-3 years has been watching every person in a position of authority in government, or most of them, and everyone in media, acting like nothing has changed, trying to pretend that 2016 didn't happen or it was some sort of fluke. I mean, Democrats at least have the excuse that they think it was a Russian operation or something like that. But even like moderate Republicans like Brooks are on the same boat of like 2016 did not happen. A moderate Democrat did not run trying to break Trump off from the Republican voter base as a whole and appeal to moderate Republicans. That all happened. Trump was not able to win due in part to the vapid and idiotic nature of political reporting. And yet nothing has changed. He's still talking about how to appeal to these moderates like it would matter. And those fucking debates that we watched last week are the exact same nitwit dog and pony show that Trump was able to dominate and use on his way to victory. Nothing has fucking changed. No one will acknowledge that the terrain has shifted in any way. So we're just repeating it. We're just going to keep repeating it as things get stupider and more vicious because no one has any investment in change.
Also, I mean, like a lot of what's going on here for people like David Brooks is that they're trying as hard as possible to avoid a situation that would out them for what they truly are and what they truly believe in.
Yes.
They can pretend to be morally outraged and horrified by, I don't know, child concentration camps. But if it came down to ending that, or voting for Bernie Sanders or a left-wing candidate, we know what they would do. Well, they know what they would do. That's the shame that Brooks feels inside.
The camp's bad, but calling it a concentration camp is worse.
So Brooks goes on to lay out, how the Democrats are moving too far to the left on things like health insurance and immigration and populism or whatever. But here's the real nut of his article. He goes, Democrats are trying to start a populist versus populist campaign against Trump, which is a fight they cannot win. Oh, okay. Thanks, David.
Yeah, well, all right.
Okay, well, if that's
I'll take your fucking word for it there, buddy.
Democratic populists talk as if the elite in America is big business, big pharma, the top 1%. This allows them to sound populist without actually going after their donor bases, the highly educated, affluent people along the coasts. The big divide in America is not between the top 1% and the bottom 99. It's between the top 20% and the rest. These are the highly educated Americans who are pulling away from everybody else and who have built zoning restrictions and meritocratic barriers to make sure outsiders can't catch up. Okay, that's broadly true what he's saying about like a sort of the meritocratic upper middle class, if you want to call it that, in this country, who live on the coast and are educated and live in cities. But this is absolute horseshit. There is the divide in this country is between the 1% and everyone else. They are like in a different galaxy than the rest of us. And guess where David Brooks is? He's not in the top 20%.
I mean, in terms of who's actually functionally controlling policy, it is obviously people at the very top. I mean, that's just the nature of money. The more you have, the more influence you're going to have, the more vital you are to the system at large. And so those are the people making policies that do the macro shit of like deindustrializing the Midwest. Like that was not the project of the professional managerial class. That was a project of the commanding heights of the economy in global capitalism. But because the project of guys like Brooks for 20 years has been detaching class from actual relationships to capitalism and turn it into a cultural thing. He wants to obscure that because then you get to paint the Democrats as the party of
they're the
elites too, because they are largely a party of college educated white professionals. And it's like that's true, and and their policies are shitty, and the people they like suck. Thankfully, there's a guy running whose support is not that. If you look at the base of Bernie Sanders' support, it is lowest among people making over $100,000 a year. He is actually doing the thing of reconfiguring the Democratic base around working people. And that's what's terrifying to Brooks, because as long as the Democrats and the Republicans are both broadly the party of this professional managerial elite, and it comes down to whether they drive a fucking Tesla or a $200,000 pickup truck, then you can kind of play that middle of the road guy like him. But if there's actually a class distinction, then you have to out yourself as a fucking class warrior for the wealthy, which is what he is. And that's why guys like Bernie terrify him, and seeing other Democrats parrot his rhetoric terrify him, because it runs the risk of reformulating politics finally along actual class lines instead of the fake cultural signifying class lines that have dominated politics for the last 30 years now.
He goes, if Democrats run a populist campaign against the business elite, Trump will run a broader populist campaign against the entire educated elite. His populism is more compelling to people who respond to such things. After all, he is actually despised by the American elite, unlike Democrats. Finally, Democrats aren't making the most...
They fucking despise Bernie, by the way. They
they loathe Bernie more than Trump.
They hate Bernie. So that's, once again, all of this only works if like Kamala Harris gets the nomination or Biden gets the nomination. That's what and they want that. He wants that. This is all an argument. It's a fake argument to get them back to getting
losing
on that same fucking sterile treadmill between the wine track and the beer track.
He goes, finally, Democrats aren't making the most compelling moral case against Donald Trump. They are good at pointing to Trump's cruelties, especially towards immigrants. They are good at describing the ways he is homophobic and racist. But the rest of the moral case against Trump means hitting him from the right as well as the left. This is even more fraudulent than the shit he said about the 1% versus the 20%. What is the right-wing moral case against Trump? That his daughter married a Jewish guy?
I guess that he is a immoral guy, that he's been married a bunch.
Nobody
and that
gives a shit.
Swears. The evangelical Christians, the people who make up the moral majority, love him.
They've anointed him.
They love him.
He's King Cyrus to them,
folks. We love him. He's King Cyrus. He's saving the Jews.
So here's David Brooks' answer. A decent society rests on a bed of manners, habits, traditions, and institutions.
Is this more of that like season with bourgeois diligence shit?
Yeah.
Stir liberally or whatever the fuck.
Trump is a disruptor. He rips to shreds the codes of politeness, decency, honesty, and fidelity. It's David Brooks, everybody.
No one noticed
talking. Nobody notices. Again, all his columns are about himself.
Yeah.
He's talking about himself. He feels shame.
He feels shame.
He feels disgusted with who he is.
He wants someone to fucking go to town on his back with Hot Wheel tracks for being a hypocrite and a lustful little piggy. But no one will do it. And watching Trump get away with it, it's like, no, there has to be some sort of cosmic justice.
Exactly. He wants Trump to be punished in lieu of him.
Yes. He's the scapegoat.
I have to say this one made me feel nothing. Brett Stevens made me... you're lucky there's no drywall in your apartment. Say that about Brett. But this one made me
You're
feel
feeling
nothing.
like Caesar, what's his name? That guy with the bomb.
Yeah, Caesar Romanus, the emperor president of Rome. This one, I didn't feel like David's heart was in this one. I feel like he literally looked at Brett's desk. Well, because Brett hasn't had sex yet, and David has. And David's been slacking on schoolwork. So he just copied off the nerd in class, both in their remedial writing class. But... yeah, I think he should be a sex columnist. His heart was way more in that. He should talk about like going to Penn Station and being like, everyone has their lives that they go to. Are you the star of your own story? It's way better than this. He really obviously wants to do that more. I got to give, if we're grading by effort, probably Brett edges him out. He didn't really sell me that he gave a shit about this one column.
Well, he just goes on to say, it's a dilemma for moderate voters. Like either they'll alienate the left to the primary, but then if they nominate someone from the left, then they can't win in the general.
Do you care more about paying some more in taxes that you can afford, or do you care more about child jails? How about that? How's that for a fucking choice? You fucking vampire.
All right, should we should do this reading series?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
So
thank you for tolerating my complaint.
Hey, there's nothing when we're together. There's nothing we talk about more than the fucking haters and how we're sick of them.
Yeah.
'Cause it's
But also, I mean,
always
like
annoying.
If we ever got any negative press or criticism at all, we'll drop you a line.
Yeah.
We'll have something to say about that.
Well, I just to cap it, like I feel like we're over here doing our own little thing. Like we're not bothering anybody. Can you just let us have our little fun and like just for them to come out and just this is tedious and how dare they? It's like you can pick on like the big boys a little bit, but we're just let's say just don't review it.
Stop doing nightclub shootings and we'll talk.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Tim, this is an article that came out. This is an op-ed in the New York Times from like a week or so ago, and got a lot of burn on the internet when it came out. This is David Brooks is one of our friend of the show, one of our
From Brooks Brothers. From the Brooks Brothers.
He is
one of our boys.
Yeah, he's one of our boys. He's one of the Brooks brothers.
Albert Brooks' brother.
Yeah.
So he wrote an opinion column for the Times called "Why Trump Voters Stick with Him."
Okay.
An imagined conversation with Flyover Man.
Right.
Okay.
Bad start.
Yeah. So the entire thing is a dialogue that he is
Sort of a Socratic dialogue, if you will.
Right.
he has imagined a dialogue between a character called Urban Guy and a character called Flyover Man that are sort of stand-ins for Urban Guy is the sort of blue state. Someone who follows the news, is very concerned about our democracy and Donald Trump.
Right.
And Flyover Man is the Trump voter who is going to explain to this person, why these people stick with Donald Trump despite all of his numerous, crimes. And,
How much time would it have
slanders
taken for him to like just come up with names for these two people? Regular names.
That would confuse the audience. They would forget which one was which.
Okay.
So it's just Flyover Man, and I realize
I love what you tweeted though. The flyover man. Every man loves Urban Man.
I realize that's basically like 21st century politics.
Yeah.
Flyover Man hates Urban Man.
Yeah.
They have a fight. Flyover wins. That's where we are.
Meanwhile, both of them are right now standing in line together at Starbucks at some airport in O'Hare or something like that.
No,
And
everyone has the same experience.
Yeah, exactly.
American experience is pretty fucking uniform. There's this, like
Fucking lines
there's
at
these
airport
fancy
fooderies is blowing my mind this week.
Were you at O'Hare this week?
No, I was in Vancouver and then in Newark, and there was a line at the Newark airport that had to have been like a city block to go to some shitty food place.
What was the place you saw in O'Hare? It was like Burger Citizen or something?
Burger Citizen.
Yeah, Burger Citizen.
And you know what they have at Newark now are literal porta potties in the terminal. Like they're like it's called like extra bathrooms or something, but they're like in a box that are just out in the open. Like
Tim, I
I'm pretty sure those are the breastfeeding stuff. Yeah, those are breastfeeding.
No. I know what you're talking about.
Doing that.
No,
you should
these
be
are
doing
new.
that in there, dude.
These are new.
All right, so I was looking for this one. Tim, you could help embody the character of a Flyover Man.
Flyover Man.
And you can hear. I've pulled up on my phone. I will play the part of Urban Guy.
Okay, this is a cold read. So
that's going to be tough for you.
It's a big stretch for me, the Urban Guy character. So let's begin here with Urban Guy begins this dialogue by saying.
So we're talking to each other?
Yeah, we're talking to each other.
What's the context? Like we're just in line at Starbucks at O'Hare Airport? Okay.
We're at the Newark airport. Okay. We're waiting online to go into the breastfeeding pod to jack each other off or, come together as Americans.
I like to think they're both in the afterlife awaiting eternal judgment.
So yeah, this is David Brooks' imagined dialogue between what he imagines as his reader in the New York Times, the urban person,
Urban Guy,
and the people that they don't get or disdain or like what he's filling them in on what they need to know about the people who are sticking by Trump.
About Flyover Man.
Right. Yeah. So okay, I'm just begin here. I hope
you got to get like.
No, I hope you read the rough transcript of that Trump phone call with the Ukrainian president. Trump clearly used public power to ask a foreign leader to dig up dirt on his political opponent.
I'm sorry. Am I literally talking to Chris Hayes, or is this just a?
I will try to do the
Urban Guy was the other name for All In with Chris Hayes.
I'm using my actual voice because I am an actual cosmopolitan urban.
Yeah, there you go.
So Trump clearly,
and you're not an actor, so even better.
Boom.
Trump clearly used public power to ask a foreign leader to dig up dirt on his political opponent. This is impeachable. I don't see how you can deny the facts in front of your face.
I haven't really had time to look into it. There's always some fight between Trump and the East Coast media. I guess I just try to stay focused on the big picture.
Big picture is this. We knew this guy was a snake when we signed up, but he was the only one who saw us. He was the only one who saw that the America we love is being transformed in front of our eyes. Good jobs for hardworking people were gone. Our community's in tatters. Our kids in trouble. I had one shot at change, so I made a deal with the devil, and you'd have made it too. Nothing in this impeachment mess makes me rethink this bargain. If people like you are unable to acknowledge my dignity and see my problems, hey, I'll stay with Trump.
I like the opening gambit of the Flyover Man's dialogue here is that I just want to be seen. You know,
Acknowledge me.
I need to feel
I need to be
seen.
validated.
Nobody wants to be seen. Nobody cares.
Representation is very important.
So the big picture is the U.S. Constitution. It's no man is above the law. We can't live in a country in which our leaders flagrantly commit high crimes and nothing happens.
You going to order something? I get it, all right? He said some stupid crap on a phone call. But are you going to undo my vote for that? I wouldn't even rank this among the top 25 worst things he's done, and I'm a supporter of his. Listen.
People don't think that.
Do you remember those months just... do you remember
they
those
don't
months?
think they're bad things.
Hey,
That's why
do you
they
remember
support them.
those months just after the election when people like you were briefly curious about people like me? You sent your reporters out on wild safaris into the hinterlands to interview Trump voters. You read Hillbilly Elegy back when it was fashionable to say Trump is just a symptom of a real problem in America. He's the wrong answer to the right question. It didn't take you long to lose interest in all that. Now we're just a block of concrete you call his base. Now all you care about is Trump, not his supporters or the issues driving us. Your whole media is Trump-ocentric.
Ron Popeil's Trump-ocentric is one of the best things you can get on the
in Brooks's
TV.
mind, what we need to do is go back to reading Hillbilly Elegy and pretending to give a shit about Middle
Yes.
America.
Right. Yeah.
We need more of the bullshit safaris.
we need
Selena Zito
more
speech.
condescension, which was also bad, but in a different way, I guess.
But you know, like he is right though that the average David Brooks reader did go through a phase where they all read and loved that
Yes.
shitty book Hillbilly
Yes,
Elegy and
yes.
thought they understood it.
Right.
Yeah.
But clearly that wasn't good enough. So okay, you say the whole media is Trump-ocentric. Well, we became Trump-ocentric because his daily outrages undermine norms, spread xenophobia, degrade public morality.
You think that because you have the kind of jobs that allow you to follow Twitter all day.
Ooh.
That's a good point. I don't have that luxury. So all that passing nonsense seems far away. I have to deal with the actual realities of life. One, mass immigration is changing my town, region, and state. Normal thing to say. Not only my town, but my region and state.
Think of the region. If you don't care for the city, please think of the region.
You know where the town limit is? We're talking beyond that. I'm talking the region.
The greater metropolitan area.
Two, the cultural liberalism you preach but don't practice is leading to the breakdown of families up and down my block. To the left and to the right. Children out of wedlock. Young men with no dad when they're young and no wife in their life when they're grown. Young men with no dad when they're young. No young men with no dad when they're young and no wife in their life when they're grown. Young man with no dad when they're young, no wife in their life when they're grown. Third, an Ivy League elite running government and the economy for itself and shutting out those of us who actually make things with our hands.
He does not make anything with his hand. I
No.
guarantee you.
Fourth, China is replacing us.
What I love about that section is when he said point number 2. He says the cultural liberalism you preach but don't practice is leading to the breakdown of families up and down my block. That line about how liberals practice but don't preach family values is something that, like, you know, the Heritage Foundation has been. It's a line they've been trying to sell for, like, I don't know, 10, 20 years now, and it just so just so happens that the Trump voters David Brooks talked to, like, also said that exact phrase. What I've always wondered about that is, what does that actually imply? Because what they mean is that, like, liberal blue state family models, like, there's a lower rate of divorce, and, like, they tend to, you know, like, delay marriage and, like, delay marriage and child rearing till later in life.
Right.
But, you know, they don't preach it because they have social liberalism that, like, leads to family breakdown. So practicing what you preach in this conception for, like, liberal blue state people would be
doing Zans, being off that Zan.
Just doing orgies.
Yeah.
Not having kids.
Having underage, having out of wedlock children, leaving your kids.
Being Jeffrey Epstein.
Doing all that shit. Well, that's the thing is that he's like, how does that work? We don't practice this stuff, but we preach it to you. What, to undermine your family for some weird ritual occult reason? Well, or when you're poor, it's harder to adhere to bourgeois values because they're the values of the bourgeois. Because one of the things about the bourgeois is they have fucking money,
right? So
they emanate from that stability. If you don't have that stability, by definition, you can't fucking uphold bourgeois values. It has nothing to do with brainwashing from the fucking urban elites,
right? Well, I mean, maybe this isn't the same point, but which would be good if it wasn't, because that would be redundant to make the same point. But I think about like Los Feliz in Cali, where I don't live there. I used to live in Los Feliz, like the most liberal, elite-y kind of. It's not rich at all. It's not like a Beverly Hills or anything, but it's sort of just like there's a diverse, fairly diverse, but mostly liberal little part of Los Angeles, and it's super high functioning in terms of just like a nice place to live, where everything seems to work, and there's not a lot of crime. The people are very friendly to each other. It's very functional. Like you'd want to live. Like anybody from Flyover Man would feel very comfortable living there, but it's full of gay people that are raising kids and full of alternative lifestyle type people. But it just feels like you could look at that community there and say, well, that's working pretty well. But they do have money. They have more money than
that's what makes social cohesion possible.
Yeah,
it's people not being stability. On the knife side, it's having stability.
Right.
Exactly.
No, but I just like I like the idea that there's some hidden hypocrisy here.
Yeah.
So my retort to you about China. Okay, China is replacing us, and my retort here is I'm happy to talk about these big problems.
Yeah, like hell you are. The media fixates on scandals because they're easier to talk about than complex issues like why urban and rural America are drifting further apart. You wasted billions of hours speculating about the Mueller report, and now news about Adam Schiff overshadows everything else while my world burns. Let's face it, bashing Trump is the media's business model. That's what drives eyeballs and profit.
Does Urban Guy work in the media? Like this is like yelling at the TV.
Right.
Well, also, Flyover Man began this by saying, or like one of his second comebacks was like, look, I don't have one of these jobs that allows me to check Twitter all day.
Right.
I do have one of the jobs that allows me to watch television all day and know about Adam Schiff and the Mueller report and how actually give a kind of astute media analysis about the economic incentives driving the news model and
Yeah, and also what's so fraudulent about this is in a time when you have so many options for how you receive information and consume, if you just were a person that put on CNN every night, it would seem super hyper focused on a very narrow issue, which it is every night. It's those dopes, Cuomo and Don Lemon, who are like insufferable fools, like talking about the micro scandals. There's room for that for sure, but this guy, if he's interested in all, there's so many different ways to learn about what's going on.
The only way to a way that I think would really help people make sense of a lot of this stuff and avoid a lot of the confusion that's in this piece is if people who watched a lot of TV, a lot of cable news at home, like not people who watched it at an airport or waiting at the doctor's office, people who sat down and watched it, they should be treated like a weird subculture, like furries or something.
Right.
Like they're weirdos,
and they're not. There's not a lot of them, right?
No, there's not that many.
The ratings, that's like those programs
out of a country of 300 some million people. Like the best one's Fox, and you're still topping out like in the 1 or 2 million viewers for one of these shows. No, you combine the rest of them, it's not that much more than that.
Right.
It's it's a small group of freaks,
right?
And like the idea that in discourse is in any way reflective of any greater trends is crazy.
But Brooks is in that small group.
He is, of course, so yes.
That's how he's reacting.
He's in those fucking green rooms, just eating like the little Bischoff fucking cookies you get in the airport, airplane all day.
Yeah, they have chips in there too.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Urban Guy's reply here: we can't have a productive conversation with Trump around. He lies with abandon. He slanders and insults. He pollutes the water near and far.
He's the bad guy from Captain Planet. He's that Fern Gully smog monster.
Well, we can't have productive conversations if every time I open my mouth, you call me a bigot. You may not realize this, but you have Trump supporters around you all the time. It's just that we've learned to keep our mouths shut in your presence. The crushing climate of blue cultural privilege is too strangulating. It's too strangulating.
I jack off while being strangulated by blue cultural privilege.
That's that hypocrisy we were talking about.
Yeah.
In practice, don't preach it. Yeah, again, like the idea here. First of all, Urban Guy is not called Flyover Man a bigot yet, but he's going with that, and he's saying like, you have Trump supporters around you all the time, and we've just learned to be quiet. It's has an eerie echo with like they're trying to make being a Trump voter like what being gay was like in the 1950s or something.
Right. Yeah.
Where it's just like, like if you're among your boys and you're
Can't
doing
talk
jokes
about
about, like you never know, one of them might just be a Trump voter.
Yeah.
I read it a slightly different way. I think it's a veiled threat to say, walking among you, even in your
Oh, you're
liberal
right.
enclaves, are Trump supporters. You never know. One day we're all going to put on the MAGA hat at once and stab you.
Sweet relief.
Okay, I get it. You're not the first person to spin the right-wing victim narrative in front of me. My freaking wife does that all the time. Okay, you're not the first person to spin the right-wing victim narrative in front of me. Why don't we focus on impeachment, on rule of law?
Fine. Bottom line, I would be open to impeachment if you cared about my problems. I'd be open if all these silent Republican dissenters in the Senate had given me some GOP alternative candidate who speaks our language and addresses our issues. I'd be open if there was a moderate Democratic Party that I thought deserved a shot. But I only see Democrats who make everything worse. Open the border, socialism, more power to Washington. You could have paid attention to the forces driving Trumpism, but you ignored us. So please, don't ask us to sign up for our own obliteration or support your impeachment. This is about identity and pride. Here's a confession. I used to think Trump was a jerk. Now, after 3 years of battle, I see him as my captain. He deserves my loyalty, thick and thin. See you in hell, brother. Wow. I did not see that turn.
Yeah, no.
That's dark.
Is that when he detonates his suicide vest?
Yeah.
And it's like right after that, it should have been like, Flyover Man, your mocha latte and bagel sandwich are ready? Anyone? Yeah.
Yeah, your Cinnabon is all hot for you. Boy, what a dark it feels like he just kind of ran out of steam on that one, right? Like, I got to wrap this up. This was fun, but I was almost getting somewhere.
He gets all bitter, and he's like, well, you were out partying. I was making America great again. And now, when the flames are at your door, you come begging for my help.
We figured this out like in the many times we've read David Brooks on this show. Like we figured it out by this point. Like the way to understand every David Brooks column is that they're all about himself.
Yes,
right.
They're like so. Flyover Man and Urban Guy are both David Brooks. This is like these are forces inside himself that he's giving voice
Smeagol
to.
and Gollum,
right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, when I watch him almost every week on the PBS NewsHour with him and the other guy. Brooks and
Mark Shields.
Mark Shields.
Yeah.
And I like watching those two guys. But he does seem totally painfully conflicted about his own perspective on the world.
Yeah.
Like he feels shame, and like his columns are a way of coping with that shame and sort of displacing it onto like I guess the urban half of him or the condescending part of himself. But the thing is, like what's disingenuous about this is that he says it like. This is based on interactions that I've had with Trump supporters in like Missouri, and it's like no, it's not. This is just interactions you've had with your friends who also support Donald Trump.
The beauty of being a New York Times opinion guy is that you never have to talk to any other person your entire life,
right?
And still have opinions about what they think. It's great.
Sure, yeah, he's not talking to anybody at the car dealership
or at the, as he one time said, Applebee's salad bar, a thing that does not exist.
Nice.
No, he said that during the Obama campaign. He said, I don't think Obama would be someone comfortable at an Applebee's salad bar.
Well, apparently you wouldn't be either.
Yeah, you'd be wandering around asking them for it, and they'd be like, it's out back, weirdo.
But like the tells that this has nothing to do with like the actual the people who show up and stand in 90-degree heat for hours to wear the hat and just see Donald Trump. Like the article we did about the bikers for Trump, and the people who just follow him around like the Grateful Dead, like a woman who drove from Connecticut to see him in St. Louis because she's like, where else am I going to get the real news from? I have to hear it directly from the president.
Yeah.
The tells are like, Matt, you identified this early along where he's just like, the Ukraine call, that's not even in the top 25 most awful things he's ever done. And it's like that list, like they all think those things are good.
Yeah.
Right.
They don't think he's ever done anything wrong because, look, it makes the people they don't like mad. By definition, it was good.
Up to
Well,
and
even-
including like all of his like ludicrous infidelities.
Yeah.
And, like open.
That's cool.
Yeah,
That's
like-
boss. That's baller. He's a pimp.
In the same in the same way that I would love to see my own work from the perspective of that woman who hated the movie so badly, just to experience that. I would like to feel that for Trump, to feel that feeling of being like, hey man, and nobody's perfect, but he's my guy, and I think he's kind of cool. Imagine having that feeling about what you see there.
He's low-key nutty with it.
No, you're right. I would like to like a sort of a being John Malkovich thing where I could experience for like a day.
Right.
Eventually, they'll create these like empathy pills, and you can like go, "I'll make Trump supporter," and just pop.
Speaking of pills, what do you make of that story about the Sudafed? Did you guys see that?
Oh,
I did see that.
The UK Sudafed in his
It would
drawer.
explain a lot. But like what I love about that story is that like if it's true, it's so perfectly Trump because that is the lamest upper to get addicted to.
Exactly.
And once again, it's like
Right.
he's president of the United States, most powerful man in the world, and he's doing incredibly hilariously low-key piddling crimes all over the world. Like, hey, you guys want to stay in my hotel in fucking Zagreb?
Yeah.
So I could like
Free rooms.
make another $1,500. Same way, it's like this guy, even he's certainly rich and connected enough. He could get any drug,
Sure.
get the finest Bolivian flake cocaine. He could get fucking like Chinese research chemicals.
Yeah.
No, I'll take the Sudafed.
Yeah.
I'll just pop Sudafed while drinking Diet Coke.
Yeah, no, I have a guy who gets it for
$500
me.
million.
Believe me, he's one of the greats.
He gets
it
like
in
the
CVS.
hookup. His plug shows up with a fucking Dwayne Reed bag.
Yeah.
His plug shows up with one of those fucking receipts that are like the original On the Road manuscript. Just like
Here you go, Mr. Trump. Your receipt's here. No, what are you doing with the receipt? Get it out of here. Burn the receipt.
put it through the shredder.
Mix it up. Go to CVS next time.
No, I mean like it is perfect because like he was the guy who was at like the height of New York City wealth in like the 1980s.
In the 80s, baby.
And instead of that like rainbow fish scale, he was just like more cough medicine. I need it.
Right.
It keeps me up. Keeps me up to do deals.
The thing on him that I think Robert De Niro said somewhere, at a party, or maybe it was Jack Nicholson. I think I heard this not in the press. Like somebody that heard this from Jack Nicholson was like, in the 80s, Trump was like the guy that you kind of felt bad for because he was like so lame and like not cool, not a fun hang.
Oh no, pathetic.
He's kind of a clown. You're like, he's here. Look at who's here. Ronald McDonald's here.
No, he's the
Like,
ultimate tryhard.
Yeah.
He was the kid who people hung out with because they had a pool.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And now he's got 100 million rabid fans who would love to hang out with him.
So
Would
does
love
Kiss.
to play beer pong with him. Yeah.
No, but don't talk to me about Ukraine. Don't talk to me about Sudafed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to hear it. He's our guy. He said he's my captain. He's captain of the team.
Hey, go down with the ship.
There you go. Well, okay. Wrapping up our show for today, I have a reading series that I think is the perfect companion piece to everything we've talked about today. It comes courtesy of David Brooks, writing in the op-ed section of the New York Times, headline, "The American Identity Crisis." You boys ready?
I'm always ready for a little David. Yeah, absolutely.
David Brooks begins. For most of the past century, human dignity had a friend. The United States of America. It's off to a good start. There is no greater friend of human dignity than the United States of America over the past century. We are a deeply flawed and error-prone nation like any other, but America helped defeat fascism and communism and helped set the context for European peace, Asian prosperity, and the spread of democracy.
We're error prone. We do oopsies, oopsie, 500,000 Iraqis are dead. Oopsie, Venezuela's in shambles. Oops.
Yeah, that
bad.
is one of the most frustrating framings of American power, that it's anything bad that happens is an oversight. It's a poor mistake. It's more insulting than just admitting that we did it on purpose.
And 100 years ago, the U.S. was occupying Haiti and the Philippines, just to point out, literally 100 years ago.
Then came Iraq and Afghanistan, the two big oopsies of the 21st century.
Yeah.
And so then came Iraq and Afghanistan, and America lost faith in itself and its global role. Like a pitcher who's been shelled and no longer has confidence in his own stuff. I mean, God, it's just we got to develop a new pitch. We got to work on our changeup. We've lost some of that gas. How are we going to get out on that mound?
A pitcher who maybe said some uncomfortable but true things about New York when he took the 7 train.
Brooks continues. On the left, many now reject the idea that America can be or is a global champion of democracy, and they find phrases like the indispensable nation or the last best hope on earth ridiculous. On the right, the wall building caucus has given up on the idea that the rest of the world is even worth engaging. I mean, it used
Clowns
to be
to the left, me jokers to the right.
It used to be David Brooks could wear his "Ask Me About the Indispensable Nation" T-shirt around Washington, D.C. without gales of laughter from children following him around. But that's become more difficult as of late. Many people around the world have always resisted America's self-appointed role as democracy's champion. Most of the population of the world have resisted that. But they have also been rightly appalled when America sits back and allows genocide to engulf places like Rwanda, or allows regimes to threaten the world order. I mean, again, just like how fucking blinkered a worldview do you have to write a sentence like that, where it's just like, oh, well, all the genocides we're doing over the world, that's not a problem. And for some reason, those people continue to resist America's global role as the indispensable nation. But, then Rwanda happens and everyone wants something from us.
Yeah, it's very 1990s. This is literally an argument from the late 1990s. And I think that just shows that everyone knows, but the total intellectual exhaustion of this way of viewing the world.
The Afghans are the latest to witness this reality. The American bungles in Afghanistan have been well documented.
Oopsies.
We've spent trillions of dollars and lost thousands of our people. No mention of the Afghan people, but the 2-decade strategy of taking the fight to the terrorists in Afghanistan and elsewhere has meant that global terrorism is no longer seen as a major concern in daily life. I mean, is that really the reason that people no longer really care about global terrorism as a concern in their daily life? I mean,
the fact that it never really was a major concern in daily life should
probably helps
enter into this. Yeah.
Over the past few years, a small force of American troops has helped prevent some of the worst people on earth from taking over a nation of more than 38 million, with relatively few American casualties.
How about other people casualties? What do we care about those? David knows his audience. You have to admit.
Well, I just like he says that we prevented some of the worst people on earth from taking over the country of Afghanistan. It's like, David, are you talking about your friends at the American Enterprise Institute or the Heritage Foundation? In 1999, no Afghan girls attended secondary school. Within 4 years, 6% were enrolled. And as of 2017, the figure has climbed to nearly 40%. But America, disillusioned with itself, is now withdrawing. This is the thing, are we withdrawing because we're just so disillusioned with ourselves, or is we been drawing because we've been defeated? I don't think
we've been defeated.
We lost.
This is the thing, this psychoanalysis of the American public, which, Danny, as you pointed out, has from the get-go been completely cut off from having any say whatsoever in whether we go to war, stay in war, how we intervene in other countries. It's just, Brooks has to psychoanalyze us now because we're all just so alienated and disillusioned and we've lost our faith. It's like, no, we lost. We lost that war. We have no ability to project force or impose conditions on Afghanistan because we've been routed and we have to leave because we just can't do it anymore.
This reminds me of an article that you write about an athlete who's maybe been at their sport for too long. And it's like, oh, they need to fall in love with the game again. We just got caught out there.
But it's also like his implicit program is genuinely psychotic. It's hundreds of years of military occupation. Like him and Max Boot, I think Boot definitely has made a reference to the so-called Indian Wars. And that's essentially what Brooks is advocating, like a permanent frontier, genocidal, exterminatory campaign to create, Afghanistan in the image of the United States. And it's wild that sort of thing could still be in the mainstream. It's just so racist, so brutal. It's really bizarre.
But again, because we've outsourced so much of this, because there's no longer a draft. There's no longer even a sense that the military at large is involved here, as opposed to a small group within it. We're outsourcing even further to drones and robots basically over human beings because of that. And we don't even raise taxes to cover the cost of these things anymore. The person who reads David Brooks, the kind of person who eagerly picks up the New York Times is like, what did David have to say today? They feel none of this. They feel no impact from a perpetual occupation of Afghanistan. There's nothing that touches them from that. And so he can say stuff like this. I mean, he can talk about, we should just keep doing this forever. It hasn't mussed your hair so far. So why should you care? Let's keep doing it.
Jumping ahead, Brooks writes, history didn't stop just because America lost confidence in itself. As President Biden correctly notes, the world finds itself enmeshed in a vast contest between democracy and different forms of autocracy. This is not just a struggle between political systems. It's an economic, cultural, intellectual, and political contest all at once, a struggle between the forces of progressive modernity and reaction. I mean, is he talking about the rest of the world or just America itself? Because, I mean, that's a pretty accurate description of our domestic political climate. But, I mean, I'm not sure David Brooks is entirely on the side of the angels in that conflict. Over the past decades, America and its allies have betrayed our values and compromised with tyrants innumerable times. But at their core, the liberal powers radiate a set of vital ideals, not just democracy and capitalism, but also feminism, multiculturalism, human rights, egalitarianism, LGBTQ rights, and the dream of racial justice. These things are all intertwined in a progressive package that puts individual dignity at the center.
That is a hell of a to be sure paragraph.
What?
Yeah. To be sure, we've murdered and annihilated so many countries.
No, they compromised with tyrants. It's like, oh, we'd like you to be better, but geez, you're just holding all the cards. We're just the world's sole hegemon. We're just going to have to meet you halfway here, rather than that we're dictating the terms of what we want in these places to the degree we can.
It's another unfortunate oopsie. Oops, you took a bone saw to a reporter in the consulate in Istanbul. Oops.
Right.
Ask your dignity dealer about the progressive package.
Oh, yeah, it's interesting that he's trying to frame it as progressive, which I think points to sort of this rehabilitation of neocons into the Democratic Party. That is, I think, unique. That's not the language they would have used 20 years ago. So that sort of shows that shift.
Well, yeah, in that paragraph, he says, look, it's not just liberal democracy and capitalism. It's all these bonuses that go along with it, like feminism, multiculturalism, egalitarianism, and LGBTQ rights, which are the new justification for our ongoing cold and hot wars over the world. But I mean, this is doubly odd coming from David Brooks because, I mean, when did he decide that he was for gay and lesbian and trans rights?
Well,
was it 2 weeks ago?
When his audience shifted to, MSNBC viewers as opposed to Fox News viewers.
I mean, but David Brooks, specifically during the Bush administration, the W. Bush administration, wed himself entirely to a political project that explicitly sought to abrogate the rights of gay and lesbian people in this country.
Yeah, you can't imagine. I mean, you couldn't possibly imagine him justifying this conflict, 15 years ago. On the basis of what he writes in this paragraph. His audience the audience that he had at that time would read this and go, what the hell are you talking about, dude? I don't want any of those things. I don't agree with any of that.
Yeah, so I think it's trying to get back into sort of the elite, urban, meritocratic, educated sphere. That is where it's a return home. That's where they started in their early 70s. They're Scoop Jackson Democrats, effectively. So they're returning back. I wouldn't be surprised if they start doing pro-labor positions soon as well, like Jackson did initially.
If the 21st century has taught us anything, it's that a lot of people, foreign and domestic, don't like that package and feel existentially threatened by it. China's leaders are not just autocrats. They think they are leading a civilization state and are willing to slaughter ethnic minorities. Vladimir Putin is not just a thug, he's a cultural reactionary. The Taliban champion a fantasy version of the Middle Ages. These people are not leading 20th century liberation movements against colonialism and American hegemony. They are leading a 21st century culture conf against women's rights, gay rights, minority rights, individual dignity, the whole progressive package.
Vladimir Putin needs to stop sagging his pants.
He's got to invest. He's got to buy into this dignity package that he keeps talking about.
Yeah, Vladimir Putin is walking around wearing huge UNC powder blue basketball shorts.
David Brooks aligning himself with pro-nationalist decolonization movements is fucking ridiculous. That is absurd.
He says, you know this is a culture war and not a traditional great power rivalry because the threat to each nation is more internal than external. The greatest threat to America is that domestic autocrats inspired by a global authoritarian movement will again take over the U.S. government. The greatest threat to China is that internal liberals inspired by global liberal ideas will threaten the regime. Each civilization is thus trying to attract believers to its own vision. It matters tremendously how we show up in the world. We're never going back to the Bush doctrine, but we're probably not going to do well in the battle for hearts and minds if we see ourselves abandoning our allies in places like Afghanistan. We're probably not going to do well if our own behavior begins to represent the real politic of autocrats. We probably won't do well if we can't look at ourselves in the mirror without a twinge of shame. David, how have you been looking at yourself at all these past 20, 30 years? What the fuck? Are there any mirrors in your house? I mean, it should have been Shiva at his fucking place for the last fucking for his entire career. I don't know how he passes by a fucking like a storefront window without catching a glimpse of himself and wanting to end it.
I think he looks at himself in the mirror like Patrick Bateman did.
I guess what befuddles me the most is the behavior of the American left. I get why Donald Trump and other American authoritarians would be ambivalent about America's role in the world. They were always suspicious of the progressive package that America helped promote. But every day I see progressives defending women's rights, LGBTQ rights, and racial justice at home, and yet championing a foreign policy that cedes power to the Taliban, Hamas, and other reactionary forces abroad. If we're going to fight Trumpian authoritarianism at home, we have to fight the more venomous brands of authoritarianism that thrive around the world. That means staying on the field.
I got to give credit to him because he is like Alexander Dugin is being the fucking I think you should leave guy right now. Like, oh my God, they admit it.
He admitted it.
Like he is saying that the neoliberal death empire is inextricably linked to ideas of cultural pluralism and racial and sexual egalitarianism, and that those two things are inextricably linked, and it's a package deal. If you want gay rights and trans rights, then you need drones and you need the IMF controlling your economy. You cannot detach those. You cannot unbundle them like it's a cable package.
Yeah, and I think this is not a pitch to the people that would actually have to fill out the personnel of the military, of the infantry. Like that'll be something else. This is to the people who will, be their bosses, will be civilian officers at the CIA, people who program the shitty AI for drones, shit like that. But they'll come up with something else for infantry because they're not going to get you to put your body on the line with we need to get Pashtuns to watch Schitt's Creek.
No, I mean, but they don't need to get anything for them. Economic coercion will do it for them.
Yeah,
but for people who you need to have a certain degree of expertise to do these jobs within the machinery, within the bureaucracy, you need to hire. It's just like with the woke CIA recruitment film. It's
exactly
these people have to have gone to college. And the people who go to college have, by virtue of the fact that they're on that track already, have metabolized certain values. And this project Brooks is just part of the broader project of creating a rationalization for these people as they pursue these careers that allow them to sleep at night.
And it's so historic. I mean, to talk about the United States championing women's rights around the world. I mean, has he heard of the Helms Amendment? Has he heard of the global gag rule? Has he heard of any of the things the United States has consistently done for decades to damage women's health care and women's rights all over the world? It's just sort of amazing to see this kind of mythical presentation of U.S. foreign policy as the conduit for these progressive ideals.
Has he heard of it, David? He supported it until about 15 minutes ago. I mean,
exactly.
I guess the theme for today's episode is the neocons are all going back to their roots in the Democratic Party, and it seems to be a perfect fit. I mean, because it's not communism anymore, and it certainly isn't terrorism anymore because no one gives a shit. But now, like, they have the new excuse is the progressive dignity package that we have to engage in a global war in perpetuity for forever.
Because the Democratic Party is now fully the party of the international bourgeois, and the Republican Party is the party of the small national bourgeois who don't want to fucking have an empire. They think they can do domestic capitalism. They can't. They're idiots, but they think that, and they have complete institutional control at this point of the Republican Party.